It's like this. If I'm dependent on you, can I speak up against you? No. I remember 8 days after becoming a mother, I was having such horrible thoughts that I actually told my mom, Mamu, don't leave me alone with my son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just don't. I might do something.
God, that sounds so hard. Yeah.
And I've been thinking this for 4 hours or 5 hours lying down on that bed. And after 5 hours, I finally told her, I'm like, don't leave me alone in the room with him. Be here. Send somebody if you need to go out. And she's like, she screamed at me. And she's like, she told me in Hindi, because that's the language we communicate in, Hindi or English, but Hindi. She's like, तुम में तो माँ बनने का कोई गुण ही नहीं है. You know, losing ourselves sometimes, it's about the little stuff as well. It's about taking out the time to brush your teeth. It's about painting your nails. You know, these small things.
Yes.
And we stop prioritizing these kind of things once we become moms.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the big crazy things like your big career goals. That possibly is something that you might have to pause for a bit. What really works well with men is not nagging, is not persuasion, is not begging, is not screaming, is not argument,
complaining,
is not complaining.
अहिलेको जेनेरेसनको also suffering ताबाट आउँछ कि कति धेरै रिलेसनसिपको, because they expect something, they think that marriage is going to be all the honeymoon phase, and then when the honeymoon phase passes, then they do not know how to handle the relationship. होल्ड अन कतिखेर गर्ने एन्ड लिभ कतिखेर गर्ने भन्ने कन्फ्युजन पनि कति धेरैजनामा छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ क्या.
I think this is a question that this is the most taxing question that you can ever ask yourself. We are taught about the Pythagoras theorem. When did you use the Pythagoras theorem?
Yes.
I don't remember it right now, so I'm nobody to like say that I've learnt it well enough. But you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
We're never taught about taxes. We're never taught about money. I am learning every day.
Yes.
I literally bought a book called The Psychology of Money. I'm a gold medalist in economics. आफ्नो 100 रुपियाँसँग के गर्ने मलाई केही आउँदैन, गोल्ड मेडलको के गरौँ म हजुर.
उसको 2 तलाको घर छ, मेरो 3 तलाको हुनुपर्छ भन्दा भन्दै 10 वर्षको कमाई invested on the house. Does that house let you eat? No. So what if you would have, you know, even I say today, okay, हैन अहिले because I went to Denmark when I was 18, त्यति बेला त्यति धेरै फाइनेन्शियल लिटरेसी थिएन, त्यति धेरै नलेज थिएन. सो वेन आई लुक ब्याक, त्यो घर बनाएको ओके 1 स्टोरी बनाएर आधा त्यो 2 तलाको पैसा मैले इन्भेस्ट गरेको भए, राइट नाउ आई वुडन्ट ह्याभ टु सेन्ड मनी टु माई प्यारेन्ट्स एट अल के.
Mental health is such a pandemic, and I think it's only going to increase. And the reason I say that is because we're moving faster, less satisfied, more to fight for, more comparison, so much more expectation. It's a crazy world.
I've heard in a podcast you talking about a phase of your life where you felt really lost. For instance, I think you said 10 to 12 years, you felt really disconnected and you were struggling. How was your experience of being in that phase? Because I know a lot of people are struggling right now who are hearing this. And what did you do to take steps towards your healing? Namaste and welcome everyone to Wounds to Wisdom podcast by Grace Yoga with Sujina. Today we have a very wonderful personality whose voice and confidence has won thousands of hearts, and someone who I have looked up to for so long. I'm so honored and so grateful to welcome none other than Maansi Agrawal. Welcome, Maansi ji.
Thank you so much, Sujina.
To the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. We've been looking forward to this for such a long time, I think.
Such a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that I wrote to you. Well, I always wanted to meet you in person. I didn't think that it would happen यति चाँडै भनेर चाहिँ. तर I think beyond approaching you for the podcast, मैले यहाँलाई अरू पनि थोरै सपोर्ट्सहरू चाहिँ मागेको थिएँ because I don't live here, right?
Right.
And मलाई चाहिँ I really wanted to personally thank you. किनभने नेपाल मैले छोडेको 10 वर्ष भइसक्यो हैन, and I'm not a media personality. I'm not yet so popular that people will know me, हैन.
Right.
मेरो first podcast experience. That's why I wanted a support system, a link, to feel comfortable in that way. And you don't know me at all, but then you showed that trust in me and you supported me in a way that I think was so graceful.
I had to know because you asked politely, B, it's about a woman supporting another woman.
That is so
You're doing
beautiful.
something good. It's ethical. It's beautiful. Why would I not? And it is when people like us stand up for each other and we say, okay, I'm there for you. I don't know you. I just know your name and I've seen your display picture.
Right.
But if I can still support you through borders across that, why not? Why not? Absolutely, always.
I think women supporting women, that's how we win the world, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So, as I told you before, I've been following you for a long time. You've been my inspiration for a long time. For my audience, as you call yourself a communication alchemist.
Yes.
In your bio, it was really cool to read that.
Okay.
Could you just explain a little bit about what do you do professionally?
Okay, so I'm going to first try and dissect communication alchemist to you and then going to get into that.
Yes.
So alchemy basically is originally, the word comes from the Arabic words alchimia, which is to convert anything into gold. So alchemy today is regarded as a pseudoscience, but there was a time when people thought alchemy was possible. You could take anything and make it into gold, right? Of course, today we have chemistry, and chemistry disses the absolute existence of alchemy. It's not possible. So I love the word alchemy because alchemy is really about transformation. And I believe anybody, you, me, anybody at all, can transform ourselves and become the gold we want to be. Correct? As a communication coach, yes, I could be a coach. But if I am promising you alchemy, I'm promising you transformation where you get to be your best self on stage and where you get to communicate in a way that showcases that confidence and that makes you feel confident. So that is what I like to say. I'm a communication alchemist. I help you communicate with confidence, whether it's on stage, whether it's on camera, whether it's in person, whatever it is. What do? I work with a lot of organizations. I work with people across cultures, across geographies, helping them communicate better on camera, on stage. I work with organizations to also align their customer service, their sales. I work with people in the media. I work with people one-on-one if they have to give answers on stage, let's say at a Miss Universe pageant or whatever else pageant I do. I also work with a lot of people on their TED Talks. So how exactly do you make a TED Talk worth remembering? How do you create those aha moments in a TED Talk? So this is pretty much what I do, apart from a few voiceovers here and there.
Right.
And a lot of writing work, speeches, a lot of that, yeah.
Yes, that's very wonderful to hear. Probably somewhere in far future, if I am invited to the TED Talk, I would really, really want you to help me with that.
If you're going for a TED Talk, you have all my support. You know this.
Yes.
Because anybody who does a TED Talk also recognizes it's a big opportunity. The platform is big, right? And there's always this excitement around, oh, I've been invited for a TED. And I'm like, okay, now let's start working. Because there is a certain thought process. There is a certain mindset process that you need to actually employ and follow for that. And I love working with people to help them understand that.
Right. That is so wonderful to know. तपाईँको धेरैवटा पडकास्टहरू मैले हेरेको छु हैन एन्ड देयर इज बीन अ लट अफ कन्टेन्ट अबाउट ओके कम्युनिकेसन स्ट्राटेजिज के हो हाउ डु यु हुन्छ नि अल अबाउट योर प्रोफेसनल पार्ट तर आजको पडकास्ट बिकज माई अडियन्स आर मोस्टली वुमेन अफ नेपाल एन्ड मोस्टली मोम्स राइट सो त्यो भएको भएर चाहिँ वी विल टच अपन मेनी डिफ्रेन्ट टपिक्स probably not in a professional side of it, but rather a personal side of it.
Right.
So I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing that.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it already.
Awesome. So I think I want to start with your childhood. Okay. The confident, glamorous, bold Mannsi ji we see on TV. Were you always like this, or how were you as a kid? If you remember it.
I do. Actually, okay. I do, because I think about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I don't have too many photographs. It's just those days, we didn't have cameras on our phones. We didn't have phones, like cell phones. I don't have so many pictures, but I have a few vivid core memories, just those things that stay in my mind. I had a fabulous childhood. I think my parents were extremely mindful of the fact that they may not have been the richest, but we had the richest time. We were always blessed with great conversations around a dinner table. I remember we had this stupid habit of all sitting together for dinner, and you would eat with your hands, right? Ani haat chiso bhayepachi tyo kasto chiso huncha ni we would sit at the dinner table after dinner. No one would get up to wash their hands till our hands became chiso.
Sticky.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chiso, not just sticky, chiso, like everything sticks on your hand. It's such a vivid memory. Okay? Our hands would be cold and then we'd finally go and wash. So we would just sit at the dinner table and have all of these wonderful conversations. And very often I would tell my dad, you know, you didn't invest money on this, you made this mistake, that mistake, but you gave us the gift of conversation. You gave us the gift of stories. You gave us the gift of being able to express ourselves. Okay? So my childhood was like that, a lot of hard work. I've always been very hardworking. Okay? I was a very good swimmer. I was a good student. I used to put in a lot of effort into everything, had a lot of friends. So that was the first phase of my life, which is actually a lot like who I am today. But then there was this middle period, like 15 years or 14 years, where I just wasn't the same person at all. And now I'm really very actively and mindfully trying to become that version of me again.
Yes.
And as I go through the layers, every time I sort of peel one layer, I'm like, oh, I've actually done this when I was a kid. Oh, I was like this when I was a kid.
Yes.
And you're sort of getting back to that.
Yes.
And for me, it's almost today like a homecoming, because I feel like, oh, I'm going back to what I was. Like, for example, as a kid, very stupid example, but I'm just going to share it because this is last night. I'm from Calcutta, super hot, right? So we used to put the AC, for example, on minimum and sleep, correct? Like 16. I've started doing that again. I'm like going back to these stupid, ridiculous things that I used to do as a kid, but that's because that's who I was internally. For a bit of time, somewhere along the way, maybe to discover myself or to rediscover myself, I had to get waylaid. I had to go off track. But now I feel like I'm getting back to that. And I'm eating the stuff I used to love to eat as a kid. I'm getting back into those silly things that I used to do. You know, read myself to bed, read till late in the night, dance to Bollywood music. Like
I do that.
You do?
I did it this morning.
I don't do it so often, but yes, I do, right? So I think I'm going back to who I was as a kid, just that same bubbly me
Right.
that I had possibly lost somewhere along the way. I don't know.
I can so much relate to that. किनभने नेपालको बच्चा बेलाको कुराहरू याद त्यस्तो धेरै हुँदैन, ठुलो भएपछि इभन आई क्यान कनेक्ट टु दोज थिङ्स के आई थिङ्क वाट ह्यापन्स इज हुन्छ नि आफ्नो अहिले मैले जे गरिरहेको छु एज इन आई लभ टु राइट, आई लभ टु क्रिएट थिङ्स होइन, बिचको इनिसियल फेजमा एज यु सेड आई फेल्ट लाइक आई लस्ट माइसेल्फ समवेयर अलङ द वे. आई थिङ्क नेपालको एजुकेसन सिस्टमले पनि जस्तो लाग्छ बिकज वी आर सो मच फोकस्ड अन हुन्छ नि पढ्ने भनेर एकाडेमिक्समा मात्रै फोकस गरियो होइन. त्यो भइसकेपछि आई नेभर फाउन्ड अ क्रिएटिभ साइड अफ मी until I was 25 हुन्छ नि. So and then now when I हुन्छ नि do all these courses, I do my own guided meditations, I write the scripts and everything, and it flows from within me. And then I was connecting it back to मेरो childhood memory भन्दाखेरि my mom used to write a lot of songs के lyrics होइन सानो बेलामा, and she used to make us sing those songs होइन. So अस्ति म एक दिन, it was a very stupid time, शावर लिँदा लिँदै होइन, it like literally hit me कि कति कुराहरूको लागि हामीले हाम्रो पेरेन्ट्सलाई ब्लेम गरिरहेको हुन्छौँ नि त होइन, लाइक ओके दिस इज द ब्याड क्वालिटी, प्रब्ली आई गट इट फ्रम द्याट भनेर. तर वी नेभर थिङ्क अफ थिङ्स द्याट दे डिड फर अस, जसले गर्दा हामी आज यहाँ छौँ भनेर के. एन्ड आई कुड कनेक्ट द्याट डिरेक्टली के आई गट द्याट क्वालिटी फ्रम माई मम एन्ड आई वाज सो ग्रेटफुल फर इट के त्यो हिसाबमा.
एकदम यो कुरा, यो जुन ग्रेटिट्युडको कुरा छ नि, I always feel I'm a grateful person. Malai लाग्छ because I am. I feel very happy about 99% of the stuff in my life. Okay? तर मेरो ड्याडसँग मेरो एक दुईवटा ग्राउज छ के. There are one or two grudges that I hold and I have these grouses against my dad. के दुई तीनवटा छ. Ani, I was talking about it. You know, my dad never taught me how to plan my finances properly. That's what he should have taught me. Who's going to teach me? I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do my taxes. Okay? And I was grumbling. Okay? And this one guy told me, fine, he didn't teach you that. I understand. But who taught you how to speak well? And who taught you how to share stories?
Exactly.
And who taught you how to be a people's person and go out there? And who did you learn that from? And I'm like, Dad, aren't you basically alive because of these skills? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. Oh, he did actually teach me a lot of amazingly important things, substantial stuff. It may not be what I think I might have needed, but it was so pivotal in my life, and I'm so grateful now. Okay?
Yes, exactly.
So, gratitude is possibly where it all starts. And
yes. And gratitude gratitude is a practice, right? Like you have to do it every single day.
Every
I
day.
kind of like have a gratitude journal that I write every single day before I go to bed. 5 things I'm grateful for. And I teach my students that, you know, do that, start that, and you will see your life changing, because
Ekdam.
you're always complaining about things. You do not
Ekdam.
shift your energy to what you actually have and focus on what you don't have all the time. That's
Ekdam.
where the problem is.
Ekdam.
So I think it changed my life in a very, very beautiful way. Gratitude journal.
Gratitude. I used to have a journal. I was very, very disciplined about writing a journal. I think in the last few months I've become indisciplined and I'm not consistent with my writing. But whenever I get a chance, I do write. I do mindfully think about a lot of things. I am very, very forthcoming with my thank yous. So if I like something, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I try not to miss a thank you message. And I'm very aware of the small things people do, much more than before. Because people do so much. Like, Hami, we can blame, Aina. But there's just so many people that are involved in any little thing. It takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to support a person, right? I'm here because somebody decided to make these shoes, somebody decided to have these lights. There's just so much to be grateful for.
Right.
And I'm very mindful of that now. Very, very mindful.
Yes. And once you start making it your practice, life becomes easier, right? Okay?
Ekdam.
When there comes a problem and you are too much involved in that and you feel like nothing is going right, there's another part of your brain that says, no, that's not true. You have this and this and this in your life, right? And in that way, you do not really get stuck in that loop of not having things. So त्यो gratitude journal ले चाहिँ मलाई हुन्छ नि rest of the day लाई पनि एकदमै धेरै positive र एकदमै धेरै काम बनाउनलाई चाहिँ हेल्प गराछ जस्तो लाग्छ.
एकदम यो कुरा चाहिँ हैन मैले त एकदमै आफ्नो आँखाको अगाडि हेरे हो के. And I'll give you an example which is extremely relevant at this point के. 4 वर्ष अगाडि I was traveling to Spain with my best friend for my birthday. हैन. So this is 2 girls, जिंदगी मिलेगी ना दोबारा हेरेर.
Oh my God, I did that too.
Everyone, I think that's like the best promo for that country. हैन र? Yeah, Indians just like flanked into the country by the hordes the moment we watched the film, and it was beautiful, and they just did it beautifully. It was a picturesque film. It was beautiful.
Yes.
I think it's one of my top 3, I'm sure. So Spain गए हैन. अनि स्पेनमा पुग्न बित्तिकै, and I'm not kidding, एयरपोर्टमा बार्सिलोनामा there was a gang of 5 people that identified us, and within 1 hour they had stolen my passport and
Oh
my
my God.
phone and my पैसा चाहिँ नेपाली मात्र के. मेरो युरो मैले मजाले लुकाएको थिएँ. सो युरो चाहिँ गएन, ठुलो पैसा गएन, नेपाली 3-4 हजार थियो मात्र. यु नो एयरपोर्टबाट फर्किने खालको जुन अलिकता हुन्छ नि वालेटमा त्यो गयो. तर मेरो फोन गयो, which was a huge problem किन बाबुको फोटोजहरू पनि त्यसमा टन्ने थियो. अनि the worst thing was मेरो पासपोर्ट गयो के. अब त्यतिखेर म चाहिँ imagine we haven't reached the hotel. I'm on the bato. I have just been robbed. And I know who's robbed me, but because it's a gang of 5, they've basically passed that little blue bag, which had all these things, to somebody. Gayo nita.
Oh my.
So I've got the girls, and the police have said, yes, these are very known pickpockets. We know they're pickpockets, but we can't do anything because nothing was found on their body.
Oy.
So म बाटोमा छु, पैसा बचाएर प्लान बनाएर बच्चालाई यहाँ छोडेर you know you do thousands of little things and plannings and tweak a million things, manipulate so much to be able to go for that one vacation. अनि होटल पुग्न अगाडि तपाईको पासपोर्ट चोरी भयो. At this point you're like an illegal immigrant in a country, right? त्यो फिलिङ आफूलाई आउँछ नि, डर लाग्छ. And I had 2 choices. Either I would completely break down, which is what I did initially, or I would look at this as an opportunity to learn something. Immediately, within 10 minutes of crying, I cried. I did all of that. Naturally,
you have to get it out.
Roko,
Oh my God. Yeah.
Roiratsu. Within 10 minutes or something, I'm like, okay, now the only thing that's really going to help me is the power of my mind. And I'm going to have to use the power of my mind to get myself out of this situation. So I followed now what I call my negative to positive thought process formula. I did not know what it was. I was just doing it. So first question I asked my mind, what can I do right now that's going to make me feel calm? First question. And my mind tells me chocolate khao. Like literally, eat chocolate. You'll feel
dopamine.
better. You need the dope hit, right?
Yes.
You need that
Yes.
hit. So chocolate khao. And I'm like, okay, bag ma thiyo ke chocolate? Because when you're traveling, you have chocolates and things. Chocolate guam khako ke. I was like, okay, chocolate khao, carbs khao, anything for that hit. So khaye. Immediately, my mind at that point was like this train without a brake going fast on the wrong track, downhill on the wrong track. Chocolate खाने बित्तिकै त्यो जुन ट्रेन थियो त्यो negative thought गरे त्यो ट्रेन stop भयो. It's still on the wrong track, but it's stopped. It's not going so fast. It's stopped now. Now I have to get it back on the right track. So the second question I asked myself was, Mannsi, you've lost a lot today, but what are you still grateful for? Gratitude, okay?
Yes.
Automatically आयो. And my mind is like, oh, जो भी हुआ पहुंच तो गए. You're in Barcelona.
Yes.
You know, your mind
You're
is like,
here now.
इतना पुग्यो त. जे भयो नि पैसा छ, you are healthy, अनि बार्सिलोनासम्म पुगिसक्यो. अब you should be grateful for that. And then I look around, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a beautiful city. Like, that's the first time within 1 hour of landing there, you know, you've come to the main city center, but you've been looted. And that's the first time you look around and you're like, oh wow, it's actually a beautiful city. So that was the first thing, okay? Gratitude त्यहाँ use गरे. Third thought, अब तिम्रो सट्टा. Now this train stopped. It's sort of going towards the right track, but you have to put it on the right track. You just have to get it. You have to yank it onto the right track, and then it moves. So the third thought was, Timro satta, yo ठाउँमा तिम्रो बहिनी भयो भने, what advice would you give her? You know why?
Smart.
Because our brain gives us the worst advice.
Yes.
You know, if I'm like, मेरे साथ ये हो गया, यो भयो, हैन, लुट्यो, मेरो passport गयो, अब के गर्ने? Brain will say, hi, Ram, केही हुँदैन तिम्रो, you will be stuck here forever, cry for some more time, you know, this will happen, you will go to jail. Your brain is going to give you the worst answers. And if your sister, your little sister, or your daughter or your old grandmother is in the same situation and you are the one that's in charge of pulling them out of it, your brain will give you good advice. Okay?
You have all the wisdom then.
All the wisdom.
Yes.
Because we're good agony aunts but terrible at, you know, applying all of that fabulous theory on ourselves, right?
Yes.
So at this point, if my sister was in my place, what would I tell her? Go to the embassy. Go to the police station, lodge an FIR, go to the embassy, get a temporary travel document, then do this, ta 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 ta. So I told my brain, okay, that's logic, this is emotion. Let's stick to logic for now. We got our chance with emotion.
Right.
Let's stick to logic for now. Logically, tuck, yo garnu parcha. Tyo sabai. Now your train is on the right track. Now you got to make it move. Actually do what you have to.
Right.
And then ask yourself, what did you learn from it? So after I came back from Barcelona, I'm like, what did I learn from it? Not very much, except for the fact that A, this formula is going to be useful for me forever. B, I had a crazy incident which has given me a great story I can always talk about.
Like today.
And I've used this so many times because everyone's fascinated to hear what happens when you're robbed. What happens when you don't have a passport? Ke huncha ta,
Right.
And now I have a white colored passport that I can show off.
Okay. Why is it white?
Because there's no passport that's white, right? But the temporary travel document
right,
that the government of India issues to you, which allows you to take one flight back to your home country, is white in color.
Okay.
So like that's the souvenir that I have that no one else can
have
buy.
To buy one.
You can't buy it.
No.
You have to be extremely lucky and unlucky to get it. So I have that. But yeah, I think that entire trip for me was saved because of gratitude. Because my thought was, bhayo, ab keta. I mean, am I going to be sitting in cribbing? Am I going to sit and be like, oh no, now I can't go to Portugal for which we've paid. I can't fly out of Paris for which again I've paid. I lost a lot of money, yes. But those 9 days in Barcelona after I got my temporary travel document were the best days because now there's nothing more to lose.
No.
You're chilling, you're going out, you're having fun.
Right.
And you're just doing your thing. And gratitude saved me.
Right.
Like very tangible tarika le.
Yes.
I could see it that time.
I think it's a great example. You know, we tend to react rather than respond to things, right? And je kuda pani huncha, that is a neutral thing. Do you make a good or a bad out of it? And failures le nai sabai bhanda धेरै ठुलो lesson दिने हो जस्तो र राम्रो lesson दिने हो जस्तो लाग्छ. More than successes, failures gives you.
Because failures also make you humble. And in that humility, you start thinking in a different way. You know, when things are going very well, everything is hunky-dory, that humility tends to escape sometimes.
True.
But when you fail, you mess up, things are going wrong, you become humble, you have a bit more time to think and to internalize, I think. That is a very big thing. And asti, you know, very interestingly, Hazule Bannu Bhayo, there's no good, there's no bad, hai na? I was watching this other show on TV or something, and this person said something very interesting. How you react to a situation is actually more importantly a telling of your own reaction system and habit pattern. Like, suppose news ma हामीले कुनै नराम्रो कुरा हेरे, कोही मान्छे त्यो हेरेर रिसाउँछ, कोही हेरेर कोलाई डर लाग्छ, कोलाई हेरेर कसैलाई त्यो कुरा हेरेर दुःख लाग्छ, कसैलाई त्यो हेरेर लाग्छ लेट्स डू समथिङ, लेट मी राइट अ पेटिसन, लेट मी राइट अ लेटर, कसैलाई त्यो कुरा हेरेर लाग्छ ओहो अब म घरबाट बाहिर निस्किँदैन, राइट? एभ्रीबडी हेज अ डिफरेन्ट रियाक्सन टु द्याट न्युज. सो वाट वाज द न्युज? The news was not good or bad or ugly or happy or sad or scary. The news was just something that was a trigger. And whatever was inside of you came out. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
So, यो कुरा चाहिँ मैले जुन दिन बुझेँ हैन, I really started seeing things around me in a different light. Everything is me outwards. Okay?
Yes.
Everything. So त्यो कुरा चाहिँ एकदम भाइटल थियो for me to understand a lot of things about मेरो लाइफमा यो किन भइरहेछ. Actually केही भइरहेको छैन. How I react to it is important, and everyone has a different reaction. Everyone has a different habit of looking at the same thing, Neeta. So I think that is again something I've really learned to work on over the last few years.
Yes, definitely. I mean, everyone has ups and downs, and I think your life is determined by तपाईले त्यो down phase like कसरी लिनुहुन्छ. That's where your life is defined, right?
Ekdamai.
Right.
Ekdamai.
I am loving to, hear you speak, and I could do that forever because you are a communication coach. I think what I would like to ask you about is ekdamai normal question from a normal woman's perspective, in a way that कति womenहरु चाहिँ Nepali womenहरु especially चाहिँ struggle गर्नुहुन्छ speak out गर्नलाई. Okay? Why? Because they have this disease to please, right? मनमा एउटा कुरा हुन्छ, but त्यो कुरालाई दबाउँदै, be it with their husband, be it with their in-laws. They're suffering inside, but they're not being able to take it out, right? So what would you suggest to those women? Why is this happening, and how can they, get out of their boxes that they have created in their mind and be able to speak out their heart?
I'll give you a diplomatic answer, and I'll give you a not diplomatic answer. You choose what you want to give. Okay? Firstly, this is not a Nepali woman, Indian woman story. This is pretty much a universal story. And yes, this is more of a woman story. 100% agreed, but sometimes this could also be a man's story. So we're not going to generalize or categorize this at all.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I'll give you a very diplomatic answer about how you should speak up and you should, talk. And I can give you speaking frameworks. I can do the coaching bit with you right now. Okay? I can give you the whole framework about how you must not stand, you must take a stand, you must not tolerate nonsense, you must do this. I can give you the whole framework, and that's going to be the diplomatic answer. But because I swear to be honest and I swear to be unfiltered when I'm saying something like this, because I understand the sense of responsibility I have, I also need you to know that speaking alone is not enough. You don't have the right to speak up. You don't have the power to speak up until you know you can follow through with action. And let me explain what this means. Let's say there's a lady A. She's been going through something and she wants to speak up about it. Before she has the power to speak up about it, she also needs to be able to build herself up, because she needs to be able to bear the repercussions, if any, of speaking up. Let's say I have a problem with something that my husband is doing. Let's say there's a lady A has a problem with something her husband is doing, right? She can speak up, but she'll never be able to speak up powerfully enough till she is dependent on him. So my very diplomatic answer to you will be, yes, speak up. Learn how to speak, share, create a community, absolutely. But till you empower yourself from within, you will not be able to have the courage to do that, because you will not have the courage to bear the brunt or face the repercussions of that. I only speak if I can back that up with fact, if I can back that up with data, or if I can back that up with action that I can take by myself, right? It's like this. If I'm dependent on you, can I speak up against you? No. Let's say, God forbid, if somebody is kidnapped, You don't speak up against your kidnapper because they've held you captive.
Right.
You're in their power. But when you're free, you speak up. What you first need to do before learning how to speak up is to make yourself truly free. And by free, I mean independent. By independent, I mean not dependent on anybody. You build your power within, whether that means learning how to do a new skill, whether that means building up your finances, whether that means working on your health, whether that means working on your relationship, whether that means buying a home, whether that means getting a degree, whether that means going to a lawyer, going to a dietitian, going to a physician, it doesn't matter. But you first build yourself up, create that freedom for yourself, and then you speak. That is when speaking is effective. Just speaking up by itself is more superficial. Build yourself and then you speak. That, according to me, is the formula that works. Of course, after that, how to speak, that is something I can help with.
Right.
But you got to build yourself up first.
Right. That makes so much sense. Because I think like womenहरुको अलिकति mindset र confidence कम हुन्छ जब उहाँहरु चाहिँ dependent हुनुहुन्छ, like you said, right? And when there is dependence, there is no respect, I think. Unless you have a very, very good husband or a family that respects you for doing house chores, जुन चाहिँ अहिलेको condition र situation मा छैन, not अहिलेको यो patriarchal society को situation मा छैन, जसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ वुमेनहरु एकदमै धेरै deeply suffer गरिरहनु भएको छ जस्तो लाग्छ के, especially चाहिँ यो postpartum momsहरु जो हुनुहुन्छ हैन. I work very closely with them, हैन. With the kids, they are very compelled to give up on their dreams because they have to take care of the newborn, right? And they are the primary caregiver. Nobody tells them, जाऊ तिमी काम गर, I'm here to support, हैन. Nobody. So even if they want to come out, go win the world, they can't because they have this little soul to take care of. So त्यो एउटा struggle ले चाहिँ उहाँहरुलाई एकदमै नराम्रो लूपमा पुर्याएको चाहिँ मैले देखेको छु के closely. And that's such a difficult situation. Like I have a little one as well, right? So without the support, I would not be able to do what I'm doing right now. So त्यो म बुझ्छु. And in that way, they go downhill after having kids, especially, which is such a heartbreaking thing. Okay? What about, like, do you have similar experience in your postpartum journey? I know, how old is your
My son is 10, almost 10.
Do you still remember your postpartum journey?
I remember days.
Okay.
I remember you, boy. By the way, I have a terrible memory. So I've spoken about it. I've got something called dissociative amnesia.
Okay.
Which means your brain, basically as a survival strategy, your brain starts to forget things it wants to forget.
Okay.
Okay.
I might have that as well.
I have it. I know I have dissociative amnesia. So I forget things, but यो कुरा याद छ हैन किन सफर गरे हो छुट्टै तरिकाको. But this is not the kind of suffering I want to forget, but this was still suffering.
The deep suffering is somewhere in your subconscious. Like it's, for me also, it's very descriptive, you know. The days where I suffered literally, I can actually relive it in my mind.
I can't.
Okay.
The deep suffering, I can't remember anything. Anything.
Okay.
This is superficial, minor suffering I can remember.
Okay.
Like postpartum for me was much, much less compared to a few other things in my life. So I can remember it. The real deep suffering, I have no memories at all. Maybe it's somewhere there in the subconscious. Of course, it would be there. But I asked a therapist actually, will I ever be able to go back and recall it? She's like, maybe, maybe not. I said,
but why would you want to?
I said, I hope not.
That's what I said.
I hope it's gone. I hope it's just... Like, if there's a way of switching it off and just letting it be, it's okay. It's not something I want to feel again. I don't want to relive it. I feel some of the emotions sometimes, but because it's not very descriptive and vivid for me, because those memories just don't exist, I don't actually live them and I don't live in the trauma and the shadow of that. So I'm pretty happy. And I'm like, okay, she's like, maybe not. I'm like, good. Hopefully never. चाहिँदैन के त्यो यति खुसी छु किन चाहियो? Why do I want to blur and why do I want to sort of mar and tar everything? के त्यो त गर्ने इच्छा छैन. Having said that, your question was, what is my postpartum depression? Not depression to nabarum. I had postpartum blues, हैन. कस्तो थियो गाह्रो थियो. I didn't have all that much support. I was also under heavy medication, which obviously messes up with your hormones, which again gives you all sorts of thoughts. I remember 8 days after becoming a mother, I was having such horrible thoughts that I actually told my mom, Mamu, don't leave me alone with my son. Like, just don't. I might do something.
God, that sounds so hard. Yeah.
And I've been thinking this for 4 hours or 5 hours lying down on that bed. And after 5 hours, I finally told her, I'm like, don't leave me alone in the room with him. Be here, send somebody if you need to go out. And she's like, she screamed at me. And she's like, she told me in Hindi, because that's the language we communicate in, Hindi or English, but Hindi. She's like, तुम में तो माँ बनने का कोई गुण ही नहीं है. She was also going through something, but she said, you don't have any of the virtues that a mother should have. Okay? And I remember crying, but I don't know if I was crying because of what she said or because of what I was feeling. I don't know that. But I remember this sentence. And she was also going through her stuff, I understand. But just the fact that my mom, who's the closest, nicest, most loving person I know, I still depend on her for everything. Like, you know, I'm very, unfortunately, yeah, she's just there kind of a thing. But just that even she would not understand this after having given birth to 3 kids, I find that surprising. You know what I mean? Like, it's something we just don't talk about at all as a society. And then I came back and I wrote an article for a magazine here about postpartum depression. Social media, but I wrote about it. I did a bit of research and I wrote. And I did have 2 or 3 people actually mailing to me. This was mail, okay? To contact the writer, please email on, and my Gmail address would be there. 2 or 3 ladies actually contacted me. Ma'am, I've gone through this. Oh, diju मसँग पनि यस्तै भएको छ, but मलाई थाहा थिएन यसको नाम पनि हुन्छ. अब म पढ्छु. त्यस्तो खालको भयो के. I think we just did not, 10 years ago, we didn't talk about it enough at all.
No.
And I had no idea what I was going through. My doctor told me about it later. And मलाई एकदमै गाह्रो भएको थियो सुरुमा. तर त्यसपछि, when I came back, so I delivered my child in Calcutta. When I came back to Nepal, my then husband was around and he was hands-on. Hats off to that man. The way he took care of not just the baby, but also of me, was amazing. He really did a very good job. He was like there. And he'd be like, okay, I was still 90% the primary caregiver, yes. I was the one that was making more of the sacrifices, if I may say that. I was the one that was not doing a lot of things. But he was there to sort of be like, okay, you sleep, I'll handle for 2 hours. But for me, even those 2 hours was a big thing, okay?
Of course.
Because I was, in a way, a foreigner in this country, didn't have any family support, and I was handling a lot of things. So
exactly like you were living abroad.
Exactly.
Like us.
Yeah, exactly the same. Exactly the same. हामी भन्छौँ generally कि हाउसमा at least helperहरू त हुन्छ नेपालमा. I didn't have के त्यतिखेर. I had somebody who was coming in part-time 2-3 hours a day. So that's not really like a babysitter नि त. So त्यो सबै गाह्रो थियो मलाई. Exactly the same situation. अहिले पनि त्यस्तै छ. अहिले त झन्डै just Babu and me. So sometimes I'm like, I am his main like 100% caregiver खालको. Although he's older, things are easier.
Yes.
But then there's different challenges with
always
this
different
journey.
Challenges. Yes.
So,
it changes with age, right? It never gets easier. It just changes.
It just changes. You know, I asked my mom, actually, very funny thing was, I asked my mom around the 3-month mark, when my son was 3 months, I was like, Mom, you know, when does it get easier? When he was 10 days old, you told me after 20 days. When he's a month old, it's going to be easier. When he was a month old, you told me, okay, 2 months. And now it's 3 months. When does it get easier? She's like, look at you. You're 29. It's still not easy for me. Look at the amount of stress you're giving me. And I'm like,
that's a good answer.
Yeah, she's like, look at you. You're 29. I'm nowhere done with you. You know, you're going to continue to do this to me for the next 30 years. Hola, na? Kahan done. Oh, we're still in this. Don't worry about it. And I ask her still, Mom, when does it get easier? She's like, you're 39. I'm still struggling. What? Look at you.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, it never gets easy.
Yes,
and,
it doesn't. I think your postpartum depression ko kura, like, because my audience are women who live abroad, especially. एकदमै धेरै आउँछ because you have no support, right? एकैछिन बच्चा लिदिनु न हुन्छ नि 10 मिनेटको लागि, they don't even have time to go pee, you know? Comb their hair भने त टाढाको कुरा भयो
एकदम टाढा.
So in that way they lose themselves,
yes.
You know, and then they feel like it's never ending, like you said, right?
Yes.
But they don't realize that it's just 1 year of that phase at least, and then you're gonna sleep again at least, right?
Yes.
एक वर्षपछि.
Yes.
Like कसैको त अब लकी भएर अलि चाँडै पनि हुन्छ, but किनभने sleep plays such a big role. Okay, you become a zombie when you cannot sleep. Well, probably I'm saying this to the wrong person in the wrong
just
situation.
Before I don't want to react.
Yes, but
I try not to. But I just told you when we were coming up here that I have a very... I'm trying to work on it, I promise. But I don't have a great sleep habit. I have a badish, toxic-ish sleep habit myself. And I used to, when I was younger, take pride in the fact that 3 घण्टा
Works
सुतेर
really late.
पनि म चाहिँ एकदम अप्टिमम लेभलमा फङ्सन गर्न सक्छु, राइट? आई युज टु से दिस टु माई सेल्फ एन्ड दिस वाज लाइक माई फ्लेक्स, यु नो, एक्जामको अगाडि आई जस्ट नट स्लिप अल नाइट एन्ड आई बी फाइन. एन्ड आइभ डन दिस. I've actually, the year I got the gold medal, I slept for 2 hours on average during the exams. Okay? And मलाई केही फरक परेन. But at that time I was 20. I'm 40 almost now. I need to be able to prioritize sleep now. Okay?
Yes.
And while I am working on it, I'm nobody to give any gyan on this right now because last night I slept at 4 and I told you that.
Yes, you told me that.
So yeah, that's not such a good thing. But ekdam farak parcha, okay? These little things make a huge difference. And to all the new moms, don't be stupid like me. This is my message.
Sleep when you can.
Sleep when you can. Do your little things. But I also say one more thing, okay? And this is something that, you know, losing ourselves sometimes, it's about the little stuff as well. It's about taking out the time to brush your teeth. It's about painting your nails. You know, these small things.
Yes.
And we stop prioritizing these kind of things once we become moms.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the big crazy things like your big career goals. That possibly is something that you might have to pause for a bit, might have to delay by just a bit, 6 months, a year. But you can change your nail paint every day if that makes you feel better. It's going to take 10 minutes. You know, I talk about this concept of stealing time. Try to steal a bit of time here and there, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here. If you can, just those 10 minutes also play a huge part.
Yes,
Rather than being
definitely.
on reels for those 10 minutes, if you can just do a 10 minutes quick meditation.
Exactly.
Or a 10-minute gratitude practice, or a 10-minute, okay, I'm going to do
breathing exercises.
Yes. Like, these days, I never thought I would say this on camera, but it's just flowing. You know, mala garne, like chanting
Japa.
garne, mala japa. I have a chant, so I'm not going to share the chant. Tara maile last 1 week ma mala garna thale ke.
Okay.
I am not super religious. I am not super puja गर्ने and all that. मेरो घरमा पूजा कोठा छैन, हैन? तर last 1 week मा मैले जप गर्न थालेको. I can't even tell you how good I feel. And it's so strange for me to like accept this. I've never said this to anybody. I just do like 108 jap ke.
And how long does it take?
7 to 10 minutes. I
See.
timed it.
See, that's all you need.
to
start with.
But it just makes such a big difference.
Yes.
Do it in the mornings, do it in the evenings. Once a day ma garchu ke aba morning ki evening. Aaj jasto morning garena, but I know I'm going to go home and do it. Sometimes if I'm not driving but I'm in the car, I will just do it.
Yes.
Gaadi ma pani basera, but it just changes so much. It shifts something inside you and you don't know it immediately. It's not like result aayo. But within 7 days, I can see things happening.
Yes,
Okay?
definitely.
So, malai ta ekdam man parcha.
So it doesn't take a lot of effort, right? Like meditation ma euta yoga nidra भन्ने हुन्छ, probably you know about it, right?
Yeah.
If you're a person who cannot get a lot of sleep, 15 minutes yoga nidra and you feel
fresh.
yes. 15 minutes
Yes.
guided yoga nidra.
Yes.
Put that earphone,
Yes.
close your eyes,
Yes.
and then you're going to do body scan relaxation and that's it, and you're going to
Yes.
feel better in that way.
Yes.
So do those little things. That's
Exactly.
the
The little
advice.
stuff makes a
Yes.
difference. It is being mindful, you know. I can spend 7 hours on reels, no? Doesn't take any effort. Din bari garne. But last week I made this very nice smoothie for myself. Random. Reel ma payo tara recipe.
First the reel and then
Reel
okay,
and
now
then,
I have
okay,
to do something.
Do it.
Yes.
Right? So beetroot, ginger, lemon, pineapple.
Not the pineapple, but I have tried the other ones.
Beetroot,
I love it. Yeah.
Any pineapple, haina, and cucumber. And just like bung it together in the mixer, strain it because I don't like the ginger ko tyo dhara jasta resa also. I don't like that. And just like a chilled glass of that. Like I love to chill drinks and have chilled glass of that. Have a big glass. You just feel different. Okay?
True.
For the next 1 or 2 hours. And that's good enough, no? 5 minutes effort. You feel good for 2 hours. Tik so.
I start my day actually with the detox juice.
Drink. What
Yes.
exactly do you put in it?
Celery mostly,
Okay.
because lauka is the most, like the best thing that you can have in the first thing in the morning.
I
But
know.
lauka is very expensive in Denmark. You don't really get it. So I replaced it with celery. So,
Okay.
but whatever vegetable, green vegetable, 80% of vegetable, 20% of juice, and your body is detoxed.
20% of fruit?
Yes.
Fruit juice.
Just for the sweetness.
Yeah.
So vegetable juice mostly is something that you should start your day with. Well, it depends on your body, but it makes
Yeah.
me really hydrated and, you know,
You feel
good to go for the
yeah.
day. In that
And your
way.
skin is proof. So
Maybe
Yeah.
the yoga and the meditation and the juice.
I'm sure it's a combination of factors,
Yes.
but you can see it, Calcutte.
Yes. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, त्यो त एकदमै important छ. And I did this last week and I felt so good के. And then I taught my didi. I was like, didi, यो रोज बिहान बनाउनु पर्छ. And she just makes it and chills it के. And then by the time I get back or I'm done between classes, because I had do a lot of classes at home, buddy. Between classes, you just feel so like
fresh.
and
Yes,
good. Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Okay, going back to postpartum.
Yes.
Your research ko anusar, I did a little bit of research on postpartum depression. And what came up is like, कुनै पनि relationship break हुने चाहिँ एकदमै ठुलो probability is once you have a child. So it's like a judgment phase for a husband and a wife. Okay? So in that way, फेरि communication कै कुरामा जोडेँ मैले यो कुरालाई. A lot of women come to me and say, मलाई यो भइरहेछ, त्यो भइरहेछ, त्यो भइरहेछ, मेरो husbandले मलाई support गर्नु भएको छैन, यो त्यो, right? I think what is also important is for you to explain yourself to your husband, किनभने यो नेपाल इन्डियाको कल्चरले गरेर they do not really understand what's going and how to support their wife भनेर थाहा नै नभएपछि they're just taking things for granted, right? गाह्रो भइरहेछ भित्र but you're not taking it out, right? So in that way, I think communication skill comes into play घरमा नै before you actually go and talk it out on the stage. So how can you actually communicate with your partner?
Okay. To communicate with your partner, there's a couple of things. And how many men watch this podcast?
I hope many. I'm not sure. I have all my beautiful moms and women's following me until now. But probably after your answer, they're going to start watching.
No, I don't want them to watch this.
You don't
no.
want? Okay. So let's just put a big red mark.
What I realize, if you're a man, you just can't hear this now. Like if there was a technology to blur this out.
Can you please close your ears?
These are little children voice, but that's okay. No, so here's the thing. I realized that what really works well with men is not nagging, is not persuasion, is not begging, is not screaming, is not argument.
Complaining.
Is not complaining. It is gratitude.
The worst. Yeah.
And appreciation.
Okay.
So, see,
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that.
You told me you've got women.
Right.
So I'm giving you like a very woman-centric answer. If you want to get a man to do something, and I've tried this with my son, okay? I'm the champion of this now. So rather than saying, oh, timle garena, oh, kina garena, timi kaile gardena, nagging ke, garena, haina, crying, garena, or just hurting or feeling bad, rather than doing any of those, let him do one thing and then just appreciate. Make him feel seen, make him feel valued, make him feel amazing, make him be like, oh, तिमीले कति राम्रोसँग प्लान्टलाई वाटर गरे, you're so good at this.
कति राम्रो डाइपर ल्याइदियो मेरो लागि.
कति राम्ररी गरे यार. तिमीले कति राम्रोसँग, oh, you're so efficient. How did you do it? Teach me. Be a bit of a damsel in distress, pani.
Right.
And be very appreciative and very grateful. They flip. I promise you.
Okay.
Tried this with my son. Okay. So my son's 10. He should be able to go down and buy himself a packet of biscuits if he has to. I think he should. When I was 10, I was doing all of these things. Okay? Of course, those days were different. We as kids were not so mollycoddled and we were not living in these little bubbles. I still lived in a bubble, but I still had the ability to go to Talako Kirana Pasal, buy myself a packet of biscuit and come back. 10 वर्षको उमेरमा. मेरो छोराको त्यति ability थिएन. जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई. So I once told him, Babu, go down and get this. And he's like, oh, how will I go? This will happen, that will happen. You know, everyone's a little princess just to lagza kaile kai, because of how much we mollycoddle our kids these days. And I told my Babu, okay, let's do one thing. I'll stand in the balcony. So I'll be watching you. You just go and get it. So I'm like literally standing, and there's a blind spot. I can't see him beyond a spot, but until a spot I can, and I'm actually watching. And he turns up to see that I'm watching, and he gets that packet of biscuits or whatever it was, and he comes up. I make him feel like he's the king of the world. Okay?
Right.
Next day, Mom, is there anything else you want me to get? Like, can I get you something? I'm like, now we're talking.
That was...
One day I come to my office kota. I've got an office kota ghar bhitrai, haina? And you know, yo jun maya ko chino huncha ni, token of appreciation, token of love, dherai auncha ke malai. So when people give it, I always tow each one of them. Everything's there. From like 10 years ago, pani sabbai cha office ma. But I don't have too much place, okay? Euta table cha, अनि त्यसमा ठक 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 राखेको छ. अस्ति त्यो टेबलमा ठाउँ थिएन अनि छोराले रियलाइज गर्यो. So one Saturday morning I suddenly come and I see him rearranging alikata. So he rearranged. He's like, Mom, there's place for one more now and then we have to buy a new table. So I said, okay. We rearranged. Ali ठाउँ बनायो. Next time Maya Kuchino, I was like, Babu, you're so good at arranging. Can you please arrange this one and put it? He's like, yeah, sure. He went and he did it himself. And now, Hamro Gharma, I promise you, this is the thing. Everybody knows it. Every time I get like a certificate or a letter or something that's framed, or a Maya Cochino, it never goes to my office. Even if I've left it in the car and my driver is going to take it up to my apartment, everybody knows they have to keep it on my chora's table because usko responsibility cha telai gaera tyaha rakhne. A, makes him feel like he's doing something. B, makes him feel responsible. C, it also teaches him the sense of achievement and feeling proud and, doing something for which you get this appreciation. And D, as a mom, I just get him to do things.
Yes. You get your work done.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Complaining, nagging, begging, crying, screaming, fighting, wrong. Gratitude, appreciation, being genuinely grateful works.
Yes. That makes so much sense. I can now reflect back on ke gardakheri chai मैले गरेको कुराहरु गर्नुभएको थियो भनेर and that's true though.
It's true.
That's true. Because हुन्छ नि हस्बेन्डसँग प्रब्लम हुँदाखेरि वुमेनहरुको generally बानी हुन्छ ओके साथीलाई मेरो हस्बेन्डले यो गरेन मेरो हस्बेन्डले त्यो गरेन he doesn't do that हुन्छ नि they are still in that Bollywood romantic phase of okay he needs to understand everything that is going on in my mind wala. But if you have a problem with your husband, you gotta solve it with him, turn around in your bed, hold his hands and have a conversation about how you're feeling, because sometimes it's so extreme when you are in a depressed mode. It is so extreme that you not being able to express anything at all. Then just turn around and say that you are finding it hard to express yourself at least.
Excellent in theory, doesn't always work in reality. And I'll tell you why. I've experienced this. I've tried to. But what happens is, and I don't have a good answer for this one. How do you get men to do things for you? That I've answered, right?
That is sorted and done now.
That is sorted. We know this. This one, I'll tell you why. Yes, it's very important to not have a third element in a relationship, especially a romantic relationship with your partner. And it's best to share with one another. But very often, I've experienced this. I found it very difficult to share. Why? If you've been shut down more than 3 times, it's very difficult for you to go and express yourself to the same person. You don't feel that validation. You don't feel heard. You don't feel included. You don't feel important. You don't feel valued. That is a difficult place to be in. And then you're going to be hitting against a brick wall, no? So that is something that you cannot expect a woman or a girl to do if she's been shut down in the past. That's not going to happen, which is when you need external help.
Yes,
it could be a therapist, it could be a counselor, it could be writing, purging in a journal, it could be taking time, moving back, moving out of the situation, asking mero sata mero baini bhai bhane ke garthe ma. What advice would I give her? Maybe something like that. It could also be just completely internalizing the energy. It could be, rather than I'm thinking about what about him, I'm going to think about myself. Why am I feeling like this? How do I work on myself? How can I embody my strength, my feminine energy in a stronger way so that this thought process changes? Maybe it would also be one of those. But this is something that for me also is a work in progress. I'm also learning. I'm also struggling sometimes. I'm also sometimes short of answers. But I don't think it's always easy to communicate if you've been shut down a few times. No.
Makes sense. And especially if your husband, for me, it's like my husband doesn't have a good conversation skills. So when we go on a date, it's me talking and he listening to it. He doesn't shut me down. That is a good thing about him. So if I have to have a conversation with him, if something is bothering me, I don't let him sleep until he's hearing what's going on with me,
Yes.
But it doesn't come back, but at least I know that he's acknowledging it.
And that's very important.
So, and yes, I think
being heard is one of the most important gifts that you can receive.
Yes.
If you feel you're not being heard, imagine the dramatic visual representation of not being heard would be you're in a room, it's dark, and you're screaming, but it's a soundproof room and nobody can hear you outside. And it's pitch dark. and the walls are closing in on you. That's what it feels like. Just because I made it more visual, we can picturize it, but not being heard feels like that. And if, God forbid, you're in any situation, it doesn't have to be just a romantic relationship, but in any situation when you don't feel heard twice or thrice, you have to resort to speaking to somebody else that does make you feel heard.
Yes.
Because it's not fair to go through that feeling of being squeezed in and being squished in and being in that dark room by yourself so many times. That's traumatic.
Yes. And that's where the importance of friends come in.
Oh my God, yes.
And that is another problem that I see, is that whole your life is dependent on your husband. You want him to be your best friend. You want him to be your father. You want him to be, everything. You do not have one friend to go out with for a coffee. And then you're complaining. That's a very high expectation on another person, I think, So kind of, kaile kahi chai hami womenle chai, we lose ourselves in that way also. So त्यो पनि एउटा, अनि अर्को कुरा, यो हजुर पनि Bollywood movies, of course, I think I've heard it in some of the podcasts that you love watching Bollywood movies, right?
Yes.
And that's the culprit. I got married when I was very young. And then
how old were you?
18. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell that story another time. But I grew up watching all these Bollywood movies. Perfection of the relationship, romantic relationships, and guys just understanding your heart and your soul in that way. And that was a big toll on my marriage for a very, very long time. Very long time. The expectation versus reality. And I think अहिलेको generation को also suffering ताबाट आउँछ कि कति धेरै relationship को. Because they expect something, they think that marriage is going to be all the honeymoon phase, and then when the honeymoon phase passes, then they do not know how to handle the relationship. I mean, I've been married now for 10 years. Probably I can say a little bit with my, in regards with my experience in that way. I mean, marriage is such a hard work. I mean, I have come across people who are lucky and it flows for them, the marriage flows. But I don't think everyone is so lucky, and they don't realize that it's constant effort you have to put in every single day to be with that another person. And West, I think what I like, I mean, there are also things that I dislike about our culture, but mostly what I like is that we try to hold on to the relationship. We don't let it be a boyale. Denmark's divorce rate is around 50%, right?
Wow.
They just, if something doesn't work, they're not ready to compromise at all. But when two souls come together and then you make an effort and stay long enough, kaile kahi त्यो beautiful part चाहिँ other end मा भेटिदो रहेछ. So having said that, I do acknowledge the fact that कति केसेसहरुमा violence को कुरा आउँछ, and then you have to leave the relationship in that way. But हुन्छ नि, त्यो चाहिँ मलाई अलिकति कस्तो डर लाग्छ कि त्यो हेरेर, हैन, होल्ड अन कतिखेर गर्ने एन्ड लिभ कतिखेर गर्ने भन्ने कन्फ्युजन पनि कति धेरै जनामा छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ क्या.
I think this is a question that this is the most taxing question that you can ever ask yourself. This question,
should I stay or should I leave?
Should I stay, should I leave?
Right.
The most taxing question in the world. Because the number of calculations you're doing at that point, can you understand what are the factors you're trying to balance?
Right.
Let's go from out to in, society, dunya, samaj. Haina? No, त्यसपछि extended family members, छिमेकीको family members, त्यो पनि हामी सोच्छौँ, हैन, त्यो people pleasing, त्यो दुनियाँले के भन्छ. The first is the community, people you don't know, people on the roads, and then is the छिमेकीको family members, then छिमेकी, then आफ्नो family members, then your immediate family, then your child, then the other person, and then you yourself. There are so many levels and layers to this, and the number of permutations and combinations and factors and rolling parts in this whole mechanism, it's so complicated that if somebody were to make a flow chart of it, it would be a world map size chart. You know what I mean?
I get it.
There's so many things that you consider, and there is no good answer. Everybody has their own answer. But over the last few months and years, I've realized that the corporate world ma bhancha sunk cost fallacy. Do you know what that is? No? So suppose मैले कुनै एउटा बिजनेस गरेँ, हैन, त्यसमा मेरो 100 रुपैयाँ मैले लगानी गरेँ अनि त्यो पैसा मेरो लस भयो. हुन्छ नि, कतिजनाको यस्तो बानी हुन्छ कि 100 रुपैयाँ लस भयो, 20 अझै हाल्छु मार्केटिङमा, हेरौँ के त्यो 100 पनि रिकभर गर्न सक्छु के. So there's something which says in the business world, this is the sunk cost fallacy. पैसा एकचोटि गएपछि त्यसमा हालेको हाले हुन्छ to recover
That's
that.
addictive, yes.
होइन? Because you still have faith. And sometimes it works, no doubt. But mostly what happens is you just lose more money. Correct? And they also say that never throw good money on bad money. Loss त भइसक्यो, 100 रुपियाँ त तपाईँको गयो, त्यसमा अझै 500 खर्चा नगर्ने, त्यो पनि खेर जान्छ. So this whole relationship, you've been there for 1 year, like 1 year, now let me tano it. 2 years, let me tano it. Okay? अब 2 साल त दिइसके, 2 वर्ष दिइसके, अझै 50 वर्ष दिनुपर्छ, दिइहाल्छु. I never know when somebody is, which side you're on. I mean, will it work? Will it not work? Is 2 years enough to justify the next 70 years? Is it not? I don't know the answer. I don't know who knows the answer. But what I can tell you and what I can vouch for is this is the most taxing question. This is a traumatic question almost, because I've lived with this question for 15 years. And this is also a question you can't talk about.
15 is long years.
I've lived with this question for 15 years. And ultimately, I think for me the answer came when, selfishly enough, I knew I was independent and free. Both emotionally, financially, and then I needed to get physically and socially free as well. So for me, it took me 15 years to understand what I wanted. But 15 years is a very long time.
Wasn't it also about the courage to leave? Like, what's going to be what's the word?
The repercussions?
Yes.
No. The courage for me came from just 2 things. My bank balance. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it and say it comes bhitra bata. No.
Yes.
It comes with money.
Of course it does. Yes.
Okay? That. And it's not like I had too much money, but I knew I had the skills to be able to make the money I needed to make. Simple. I'm not going to filter this, okay? Because it's responsible of me to share the truth. So courage came from A, money, and B, knowing that I had a support system in place. And by support system, I mean even the school bus kodai who takes your child to school is a part of your support system. You better understand that, right? Even the fact that your child is in a very good school is a part of your support system. Even the teachers in his school who will hold you when you're crying as a mom are a part of your support system. It's not just your immediate friends, okay?
Right.
So I put in effort, hola, but I'm also really grateful for the support system I've had. I've had the best people around me. And when I knew I was not emotionally or socially dependent on just one human being to uplift my life, I knew I could leave.
Yes, yes. I think a lot of ladies are stuck in the financial part of it.
That's why that's part 1.
That's the part 1, right? Because you are not going to be respected in a relationship in that way, as I said, and हजुरले भने जस्तै, to stand up for yourself, to speak up for yourself, there needs to be a root that has to be strong. Otherwise, kun basis ma are you going to talk?
Exactly.
Right? So in that way, either you have to go live as a monk or you have to be financially independent to make your choices in this world, in the real world right now. So जति सुकै जस्तो सुकै काम होस्, हुन्छ नि, त्यो ग्राउन्ड लेभलमा कुरा गर्दाखेरि पनि जस्तो सुकै काम होस्, सानो ठुलोको ट्याग त हामी आफै लगाउँछौँ हैन. You have to start that. You have to start taking that step if you want to, हुन्छ नि, come out of it. If you're stuck, कतिजना स्टक भएको देखिरहेको हुन्छ कि मैले, and they feel like, what do I do now? Like मेरो पेरेन्ट्सले मलाई सपोर्ट गर्नुहुन्न, now I want to leave but I cannot leave, हुन्छ नि, म के गर्छु यसपछि. They do not know what to do.
मलाई एक्चुअली तपाईँको यो पोइन्ट एकदम सरप्राइजिङ लागिरहेछ. थाहा छ किन? I know you speak to a lot of women that live in different countries, international people, right? त्यहाँ पनि यस्तो छ?
Okay, let me share you this. अहिले एउटा न्युज आइरहेको छ, तपाईँलाई थाहा छ, ममता काफले भन्ने युएसको भर्जिनियाबाट, she's been lost for, what is today? August 18th, right? 18 days. Yes, and she is a registered nurse there. So just postpartum ko samay bhayo. She has only 11-month-old kid and she's not been found. Everyone is looking for her. Ekdamai thulo movement bhaisakyo yo, हैन? So त्यो फेजमा because like during pregnancy I think she worked her entire pregnancy तर पनि like त्यो financial support चाहिँ थिएन. She had no bank balance in her account भन्ने कुराहरू आइरहेछ कि. And she was actually my yoga student. मेमा उहाँले जोइन गर्नुभएको थियो. And 8 weeks she did so wonderfully, practiced, and then she shared that how good she was feeling and everything like that. And I was really devastated when I actually heard the news. तर I knew then and there कि उहाँले मलाई एक्चुअली मेन्सन गर्नुभएको थियो कि त्यो योगा कोर्सको फी पे गर्नको लागि पनि she told her mom in Nepal to send me money के in that way. So त्यो हिसाबमा त्यो फाइनान्सेस अझै पनि कति फ्यामिलीजमा डजन्ट म्याटर इफ यु लिभ अब्रोड अझै पनि त्यो हस्बेन्डको हातमा नै हुन्छ कि.
तर if she is a registered nurse, she is making money.
But she was in her postpartum phase. So I don't know US मा अब तपाईले पैसा पाउनुहुन्छ कि पाउनुहुन्न because in Denmark you get money when you are in the postpartum phase.
Australia मा पनि आउँछ मलाई थाहा छ हैन. Denmark मा आउँछ होला. Scandinavian countries anyways, yeah, like fabulous policies and laws. नेपालमा मलाई थाहा छ अलिअलि कुनै-कुनैमा हुन्छ, कुनै-कुनैमा हुँदै पनि हुँदैन हैन. बुझ्छु. Then I think this conversation also should be veered around financial planning and financial prudence. We don't teach our girls enough.
Yes.
Okay? Remember, I started with my dad did not teach me how to invest money, right?
Yes.
That used to be a complaint of mine.
I think nobody talks about money. Like, we should be taught about money in school. Like,
you know one thing? We're taught about the Pythagoras theorem. When did you use the Pythagoras theorem?
Yes.
I don't remember it right now, so I'm nobody to like say that I've learnt it well enough. But you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
We're never taught about taxes. We're never taught about money. I am learning every day.
Yes.
I literally bought a book called The Psychology of Money. I'm a gold medalist in economics. आफ्नो 100 रुपियाँसँग के गर्ने मलाई केही आउँदैन. गोल्ड मेडलको के गरौँ म हजुर? हैन? मेन कुरा यो छ, we don't talk enough about the importance of this.
Yes.
If we're sitting down for a conversation like this, I'll have the hard talk with you and I'm going to tell you it's important to invest. I'm going to tell you it's important to save. One of my friends, in fact, he's going to be very happy if I actually say this. He's my financial planner in India. Okay? उले अस्ति नै मलाई भनिरहेको थियो नेपालमा financial planning को त्यति financial literacy त्यति छैन. You have a voice. You have a platform. You've learned so much in the last 1.5, 2 years. I've been working with him on and off for the last 11 years now actually. 12 years now. हैन? तर 2 वर्षमा मैले धेरै कुरा सिकेको के उबाट. He's like, you talk about it, share, talk about it, tell women how they need to invest, what they need to do. Maybe if you're saying so many women are struggling in spite of having worked, let's say you're a registered nurse, case in point, just a random hypothetical example. तिमीले महिनाको पनि whatever, तिमीले 10 वर्ष काम गरेछ, 8 वर्ष काम गरेछ, you should be able to have enough savings to be able to sustain for the next 2 years at least. त्यो गरेछ छैन भने there is a mistake, there is a gap in the system somewhere. And this conversation is a difficult conversation, but it needs to be had.
Yes.
And I am extremely badnaam for doing this because I'll tell you what I did. A few days ago, I was sitting with a friend of mine and we were talking. He's much senior to us. And I was talking to him and he's telling me, I was like, so, Dai, what do you do with all your money? He's like, he said this whole thing. And I'm like, how much do you invest? And he's like, I don't. And I'm like, you don't invest your money? And then I gave him this long lecture, long lecture. And he's like, मलाई त डर लाग्यो, यो त scary मान्छे छ हैन? He didn't talk to me. 5 days later, we meet at a party and he's like, don't speak to Maansi. She'll tell you to invest your money.
Okay.
I'm like, I say it because I love you.
Yes.
I say it because it's
Please
for you.
Please take my advice.
I say it because you need this to be done ASAP.
Yes, yes.
So I think the conversation around should I leave, should I stay, we can sugarcoat it. We can make it look less vital than it is. But a lot of it is about finance. And I know this is true about a lot of women in Nepal. For me to hear that this is also true with your clients internationally is quite shocking, disturbing, but also tells me about the importance of this conversation.
It is very, very important. I wish and I hope that you come up with something that can help women about financial literacy. Even I'm 28 now. I started investing only when I was 25, right? And in Nepali, when you do not have a family who is financially well off, even if you go abroad, you make good money, right? So what you invest on is first building a house for your parents, right? And you do not want to build a one-story house. No. I always wanted to build a one-story house. Tara भन्दा भन्दै त्यो नेपालको हुन्छ नि उसको 2 तलाको घर छ मेरो 3 तलाको हुनुपर्छ भन्दा भन्दै 10 वर्षको कमाई इन्भेस्टेड अन द हाउस. Does that house let you eat? No. So what if you would have, even I say today, okay, होइन अहिले because I went to Denmark when I was 18, त्यति बेला त्यति धेरै फाइनेन्शियल लिटरेसी थिएन, त्यति धेरै नलेज थिएन. सो when I look back, त्यो घर बनाएको ओके 1 story बनाएर आधा त्यो 2 तलाको पैसा मैले इन्भेस्ट गरेको भए right now I wouldn't have to send money to my parents at all, okay? So I think this would be a very good advice for अहिलेको जेनेरेसन जो बाहिर गइरहनु भएको छ. Please invest your money. Think about investing it rather than house is important, of course, but don't spend your entire earning on that.
Simple formula. Simple. मैले यो कुरामा धेरै सोचिसकेँ, धेरै I've sat down, paperमा literally calculated percentages, calculated paisa, tax. I've done so much of this in the last 2 years, I can't tell you, okay? I've got like books that I've like worked out. Do I need this? What is my priority? What do I want to do? How much do I need to invest? What should my... So you know about the FIRE number? Financial independence, retire early.
Okay.
Financial independence to retire early.
Okay.
How much money do I need in 10 years if I want to retire in 10 years? How much money do I need to have in 5 years if I want to retire in 5 years and work, have no obligation to work, to be able to sit and passively live my life at whatever level, right? So मैले त धेरै डेप्थमै गइसकेँ कि यो कुरामा साँच्चै भन्छु, I've really studied this. तर a house is amazing emotionally. A house is amazing socially. It may not be the best financial decision.
Yes.
Okay? Kina, ma bujhaunchu, it doesn't generate any return. Right? Unless you put 3 talla on rent and stay in 1 talla, it doesn't generate return. My question to people is, would you rather have $1,000 bag with $0 inside or would you rather have a $10 bag with $1,000 inside? Question tapaiko lagi ho, choice afno banaunu parne cha. I am definitely category number 2. Let people think whatever they want to think about my house, about me, but I know I sleep very peacefully knowing that I know where I'm going to get my next meal from.
Yes.
I know that if I don't work for 3 years, my child is not going to be out of school. I am not going to be on the road. Okay? That for me is more important than having a house. Why? All of these are conspicuous consumption, which means I am consuming things to show off to people. You know, mero ring, mero yo brand. आजसम्म कसैले मलाई एउटा ब्रान्डेड ब्याग बोकेको फोटो देखाइदियो भने I'll give you anything. I've never bought a branded bag. Do I not have the money to buy a branded bag?
That is.
I may actually have the money to buy a branded bag.
Yes, that is very smart.
I may have money to buy 10 branded bags, but would I invest on that? No.
I think brand is such a scam. I completely...
I study branding as well, right?
I completely am with you in this.
Look at the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. Oh, there was this very interesting picture. Do you remember seeing it? Mark
With
Zuckerberg.
the same t-shirt?
No. Great t-shirt. Okay. That's because of decision fatigue. That's a separate thing, Feri.
Okay, got
त्यो
it.
त छुट्टै कुरा. तर मार्क जकरबर्ग एन्ड I think Bill Gates को फोटो थियो जस्तो लाग्यो. Both of them in one photograph. And त्यो caption थियो तल $1 billion in this picture. No Gucci, no Versace, no Armani, no whatever else, right? They don't need to tell people how much money they have. I don't need to tell anybody that I'm making money. Look at my Thulo ghar. Proof that Maansi Agrawal is making money. I don't need to tell anybody that.
No.
And nobody needs to know. My money is my security. My bag is not my security, Baba.
Yes.
My money, my bag is a conspicuous consumption. I also find it extremely distasteful to only flash brands. Where's your personality? Who are you under all of that garb? And who are you under that superficiality of a bag, right? If that's all that you are proud of that day when you're wearing whatever, and the bag is the only thing that makes you proud and confident enough to go out in public, then there's a problem with your self-esteem.
Yes.
Also, I don't need to carry a branded bag to tell anybody I have money or I make money or I'm good. No, that is consumption which is wasteful because it is just for other people to think good about you.
Yes.
If you're good here, and if you're good with your hands and doing good for people, people know. you don't have to do anything else.
Yes.
Ghar kaहिले pani jabasamma you are not making a return on it, it's not a very wise financial decision.
Yes.
अनि मैले रियलाइज गरेँ यस सिक्योरिटीको लागि, यस सोसाइटीमा अलिकता त्यो स्ट्यान्डको लागि, यस आफ्नो कम्फर्टको लागि आफ्नो घर हुनु पर्यो, तर a house that you can't afford and that you're spending 10 years of savings on or 30 years paying off is totally meaningless. Totally meaningless. Imagine the experiences you can build. Have a smaller home, na?
Yes, exactly.
Imagine the experiences. Imagine the vacations. Imagine what else you can do with the money. Imagine the financial freedom that comes with knowing that you've got X amount of money in your bank which is going to generate interest of X amount every month, and you're sitting and eating.
Yes.
Kam garne if you want to.
Yes.
That's more important.
Yes. I think that is the problem of अहिलेको generation, because हामी यति धेरै देखावटी दुनियाँमा believe गर्छौँ नि हैन. Like you're scrolling through the Instagram and social media is designed to make you feel bad in that way, right? So योसँग यो छ, त्योसँग त्यो छ, मसँग कहिले हुन्छ, and then they try to buy all the things around, and then they think that it's going to make them feel good. Of course it does, for like what? Very tiny bit.
10 seconds.
Yes.
20
so
seconds?
Exactly. So self-care ko naamma, people are going to spa, people are getting pedicures, people are going shopping, right? And I actually used to, I never believed in brands. त्यति धेरै पैसा खर्च गर्नमा चाहिँ मैले कहिले पनि बिलिभ गरिनँ, especially also because I'm very clumsy, you know. एउटा चस्मा किन्नु पर्यो भने नि सबभन्दा सस्तो चस्मा, सबभन्दा राम्रो टिकाउ चस्मा किन्ने मान्छे हो, because I don't know where I'm going to leave it, right? In that way. So कतिजनालाई चाहिँ थाहै छैन के, that they are trying to escape the reality. They're going for all those short-term happinesses and thinking that that's going to fulfill them. जसले गर्दाखेरि I think this is the whole loop that is हुन्छ नि, the lack of financial literacy, जसले गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरूले financially independent भएर आफ्नो माइन्डलाई फ्री गर्न सक्नु हुँदैन. अर्को कुरा, they are running after this short-term happiness जसले उहाँहरूलाई fulfill गरिरहेको छैन. That is, I think, also why, you know, this mental health is a pandemic right now.
Yes.
I know. So अहिलेको generation needs guidance in that way. And it's so heartbreaking to see in news every single day coming out about it. So what do you think about how can we as a generation do better mentally?
Such a deep question. I don't have a good answer. I wish I had an intelligent sounding answer for you. But your mental health, you know why it's so difficult to handle? Because your mental health is based on too many factors, too many moving parts. Too many moving parts, okay? जस्तो कि weather राम्रो छैन, oh I feel sad, you know. कसले के भन्दियो, oh I feel terrible. केही भयो भने, oh my god, I'm so scared, right? Maybe the only thing that you can do is fortify within. The only thing that you can do is make yourself stronger within, because everything else around you cannot handle at all. At all. You have no control over anything. Let that control go. You can only try and build positive emotional habit patterns within you. Jasto lagcha malai ajako dinma. What is a positive habit pattern? When something happens, I will look at it from the point of view of मसँग किन भयो, or यो किन भइराछ, to how can I best deal with this situation. I think for me, ultimately, mental health starts with this simple question. And then, of course, there are physiological problems, which I can't get into because I'm not an expert at all, right? Anything that's a hormonal disbalance, I can't talk about at all. I'm not qualified. But anything that's smaller or less severe than that, maybe the best way of looking at it is, how can I deal with this situation in a more meaningful way, in a better way? Tyo che malai thik lagcha. Having said that, mental health is such a pandemic, and I think it's only going to increase. And the reason I say that is because we're moving faster, less satisfied, more to fight for, more comparison, so much more expectation. It's a crazy world.
And it's mostly social media because it's boomed in the last 10 years. I think we are in a very critical period because हामी बच्चा हुँदा फोन एन्टिनावाला पनि देखिँदैन थियो. अहिले everything is on our phone. बिहान उठ्ने बित्तिकै 1,000 people enter your bedroom through your phone.
एकदमै
Right?
तपाईँ बच्चा त म भन्दा धेरै पछि भएको होइन. When I was a kid, we were a family of 16 sharing one landline.
Yeah.
I've seen those days. होइन अनि बेस्ट हामी क्यालकटा बस्ने. So Calcutta, while it's a big, beautiful, nice city, हाम्रो infrastructure कुनै कुनै एरियाको खत्तमै थियो के. So my house was in Southern Avenue, which is by the lakes. So when it would rain, the lakes would overflow and there would be water logging. So we would have like water. I've waded through this much water to get to school. अनि water जब हुने सारा phones out हुने. So we knew from April to August we won't have any phones. Like we actually survived for 4 months in the house without a single phone. 16 people living, all alive, nobody, nothing happened to anybody. I sometimes pause and I think, could we even go back to that for 2 days? What would happen to the world if we went back to that for 2 days? Either everybody would go completely crazy or everyone would ditch phones and things forever. Okay? There's no in between.
I really think that would be really magical.
If we could just for like 2 days, the whole world.
Yes.
No internet.
Biggest
Try
addiction.
No internet.
Everyone has an addiction.
Everybody. I am guilty as charged. I'm really trying to work on it. Really, really trying. I think the 2 things I'm working on are my sleep and this reels wala thing.
Scrolling.
Oh my God. And
You
one
get
thing
so stuck
leads
in
to
that.
another and you're just stuck.
Yes.
And now you know why Janhvi Kapoor has a tattoo. You know
What tattoo does she have?
I don't know, but whatever. You know, like, you know all sorts of random
okay,
things.
that's what you mean. Okay, yeah.
Like you know why Janhvi Kapoor has a tattoo.
And who is eating what?
Yeah, and what is Deepika Padukone's latest airport look, and why Kim did this, or
Oh my
why
God.
did she wear
Oh
a
my
red
God.
thing for the wedding? She should have worn another color, and why was she trying to overshadow the bride?
Yes,
and
yes.
there's 30 documentaries on that. No one cares.
Yes.
30 years ago, this would not be a part of conversation.
No. And that's the dopamine spike.
Absolutely.
That's the dopamine spike.
Absolutely.
And they do not know as soon as they log off the phone, they need to run into another thing to feel good. So they're not giving themselves space to, heal in that way. So त्यो mental कुरा, physical कुरा, as you said, it's interconnected. So कति धेरै physical symptomsहरू पनि देखिरहेको हुन्छ होइन, कति धेरै diseasesहरू बढिरहेछ out of stress. And even cancer is caused by the stress in that way.
Yes.
So मैले अलिकति conversationलाई diverse गरेँ in a way that I've heard in a podcast you talking about a phase of your life where you felt really lost. For instance, I think you said 10 to 12 years, you felt really disconnected and you were struggling. How was your experience of being in that phase? Because I know a lot of people are struggling right now who are hearing this. And what did you do to take steps towards your healing?
Very difficult, yeah. It was terrible. It was really bad. I remember there was a time I could literally cry at the drop of a hat. Like I was so fickle and fragmented and porous. Anything could enter and I would just cry.
Yeah.
Like, you esto kina cha, chair esto kina cha, and I'll just cry. Because I had absolutely no amount of strength in me. I was so fragmented, so broken. धेरै गाह्रो थियो. कुनै हालतमा म भन्न सक्दिनँ त्यो फेज सजिलो थियो. How did I come out of it? 5 or 6 things maybe. 1, good luck. 2, I always knew that because of the upbringing I had, which would be a combination of 2 things, my mother's strength and the strength that my education gave me, I knew I shouldn't have to suffer so much. I knew that. कहीं थियो के? Sometimes you just think कि मेरी तो जिंदगी ऐसी है, मसँग त त्यस्तो हुनै पर्छ, म त यही डिजर्भ गर्छु, मेरो लागि अरू केही हुन सक्दैन, त्यस्तो थट्स पनि आउँछ. Very self-defeating thought के? But because I had my mother's strength, because she always told me, you're a good person, you're smart, you're capable, she always put that into me. That thought plus the fact that I had a great education, both of these together made me believe I shouldn't have to suffer so much. So kahin त्यो भित्र belief थियो क्या, that I shouldn't have to suffer. Then, this is the first time I'm saying this on camera, when I was in school, I was in love with somebody, with a boy. And he made me feel very visible and very seen and very heard. And just knowing that somebody thought I was good kept me going. Okay? There was one person on this planet at least who believed I was a good person. And I was worthy. That kept me going. Just knowing that there's somebody. And I was not even in touch with him all of these years. No idea.
Okay.
I wasn't. Then later I got in touch with him after many, many years. I mean, earthquake pachi ko kura. Like, after 7-8 years of completely not being in touch, kahan teti khera WhatsApp hune, kahan teti mail garne, email address change bhayalne.
Maybe they let us.
He was in America, I was in Nepal, and company the na. I never felt like that. I was not even like anything, but just knowing that you have experienced being loved and being heard and being valued also give me a lot of strength to go on.
You know how it feels.
You know how it feels. You know you deserve it somewhere.
Yes, yes.
Okay? Or you're capable of getting it.
Yes, yes.
And then finally, I think the one thing that really helped me was that, okay, केही छैन, education छ, काम गर्नु पर्यो, सिक्नु पर्यो. So learn, work, money, learn, work, money. So that building up my skills, building up myself also really helped. And then I think this whole will to be better every day. There are many people who know me from when I came to Nepal 18 years ago. And they still know me, right? Very, very close friends. Most of my close friends are either 18 barsa purano or 4 barsa bhitrako. Bitsako phase ko I don't have too many friends that I'm regularly in touch with. Okay? Either it's those 7-8 people that I met then, or it's people that I met in the last 4 years that have become my tribe now, right? So, so many of these people who know me from 18 barsa agadi are like, you're not the same person. You talk differently. You talk about different things. You do different things. You dress differently. You look completely 100% different. Your body language is different. Everything is different. I worked on myself every single day, either to peel off the layers of the onion and to go back to who I am, or to put in new layers and to become the person I want to be. And I kept doing these two simultaneously. But the amount of work I put into myself is honestly unfunny. You tell me to learn about finances, I will. You tell me to learn how to do my makeup, I will. You tell me to learn how to speak better, I will. You tell me how to learn how to travel better, I will. You tell me how to learn how to eat better, I will. You tell me how to communicate better, to learn, I will. You tell me how to take better photographs, I will. You tell me to learn how to edit on Canva, write better mails, learn Photoshop, learn how to edit my own videos, learn social media, I will. The amount of work that I've put in is phenomenal.
Yes.
And I'm saying it with it took time. And I'm saying it with no pride, but a lot of gratitude that the amount of work I put in was crazy. And this is obviously not a reason for me to flex. It's a reason for me to share my truth.
Yeah, but that is why you are who you are right now, I think.
I'm
every
building
single
myself.
step, there's a long way to go for everybody, but who we see you as, like, an inspiration for a lot of women out there. They need to know that what it takes to be you, right? I mean, like, as you said, long journey, and you were ready to do anything and everything to get out of the version of you that you think that you wouldn't want to be.
Yes.
And you slipped out like the skin on the snake, like very gracefully. And the transition was so difficult. Nobody sees how difficult it was. All they see is this person who is so confident and so bold. But
zero self-esteem bata aako manche ma. Zero.
Crazy.
Negative.
Yeah.
Zande, Charu Chadha, Wow magazine co-editor. She's an amazing woman. So she was one of the women that I first met when I came into this country, because I wanted to be an assistant editor for Wow in 2008. So she took my interview. And she remembers me from then, because we had a long interview, and then we got connected on Facebook, so we would be connected on and off. And then I started writing a monthly column for Wow. And Charu was actually I really trust her opinion, okay? She's very intelligent, obviously. She's a very sensitive, intelligent person. Tara tyo bhanda, she's very appreciative. And she's like, Maansi, I've seen you change. And every time I meet her, she's always like, Maansi, I've seen you grow. I know what you've done. And for Charu many people say it. Many people say this. People who know me from 15 years ago, right? They've seen the steps, the growth. And for Charu to say this always makes me feel so... For her to say it. Because she says it with a lot of... she comes from a very intelligent mindset. But more than that, she also says it with a lot of introspection and thought. And she can see it. Because she's also a self-made woman. So she will be able to understand better. Okay? So she's like, Maansi, I've seen you grow. I've seen you transform. I know that.
Right.
And that's what is alchemy.
Yes.
To change.
Yes. And change so beautifully.
To constantly keep changing to one day become the version of gold that you want to be.
Yes. I have this idea. I didn't read it anywhere. I think it was just the wisdom that came from within. I feel like, there is this highest version of everybody.
Okay.
Everybody that you can meet at the end of your life. It's your choice and all the decisions that you make in life that determines whether you reach that highest version or not.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That's actually a great thought. And it also aligns beautifully with something that I read yesterday. Imagine you are the most famous, most amazing, most popular, most rich, most everything person in the world. What would you do? Would you dress up like this? Would you speak like this? Would you eat like this? Would you sleep like this? Would you clean your house like this? Would you live? What would you do? Right? And work as per that. And you just become that highest version, no?
Yes,
like if I was the happiest, most healthy, most successful person, what would I be doing?
Do that right now.
Do that right now.
Yeah.
Like if I was the healthiest, I would be eating better, sleeping a bit more,
yes,
having a bit more water.
Yes,
do that right now.
Yes.
If I was the happiest, what would I be doing? Oh, I'd be dancing a lot more. Oh, I'd be going out with my friends a lot more. Do that right now.
Yes.
That kind of a thing.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I try to imbibe this a lot these days. Oh, one more concept. Your women audience members should know this, okay? And this is a concept that we realized by chance. My best friend is a girl called Rachel. She's Scottish, but she's been in Nepal for the last 28 years. So she's very Nepali in a lot of ways, and she's very Scottish in a lot of ways. She's very international, actually. I would not know what very Scottish is, but she's very international in a lot of ways, right? So she is very broad in the way she thinks, and we talk a lot. And यो वर्ष मेरो बर्थडेको लागि, so I don't drink tea or coffee. अनि यो वर्ष मेरो बर्थडेको लागि Rachel got me a hot chocolate maker. It's a machine.
Okay.
You put in milk, you put in chocolate flakes or chocolate katera, and it's going to make, I promise you, the best hot chocolate in the world. Okay? Like not in the world, but like in my house. So you are
the sweet tooth person.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not.
Oh, no.
I can see the excitement in your face.
Oh, yeah. Hot chocolate is the magic word. Haina? Hot chocolate with mint chocolate. Yeah, okay. We won't get
everything with the chocolate.
Yeah, actually anything with chocolate. White chocolate, hot chocolate, like white chocolate.
I'm going to send you some chocolates from Denmark. I will do that.
Can we
definitely.
make it white chocolate?
Yes. We get really good white chocolate. I think it comes from France or Germany, but it's very nice. So I'm going to send it.
I am expecting a parcel. I will give you my address.
Yes, definitely. I promise you that. Really, seriously.
Thank you.
I'm not just saying it to say it.
Okay, on camera that too.
Yes.
So क्यों नहीं
Yes.
So Rachel got me this hot chocolate making thing. Okay? It's a very nice, very cool looking, like modern looking device, and she got me hot chocolate. And then I was like, Rach, this is the most thoughtful gift and it makes me so happy. So we both came up with this plan of small luxury. What is small luxury? Both of us today are making enough money to spend, let's say, $3,000 extra a month and not even remember. Okay? Clear? Simple?
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago it would have pinched us, but me, not her maybe. But now it won't pinch either of us. $3,000, $5,000. So we both said, every month, one thing or up to 5,000 spend without thinking. Okay? For people like us who've come from the ground up, who've come from zero, negative to whatever, 80, sabaiको छुट्टै हुन्छ. We don't spend on ourselves. Okay? We don't. Simple things we'll save. Like my mom, I've seen her, if she can save $300 somewhere, she'll save it. She'll put herself through 3 hours of torture to save $300. I'm like, Mama, $300. Like, you don't have to think now. You got 3 children who are doing so well. You are making money. Your husband is making $300. But the mentality, it's okay. You to squeeze yourself into that little thing.
That reminds me of something. My mom bargaining for things and I feeling so ashamed.
Embarrassed.
So embarrassed.
Goal bada ko lagi. Honi. I've seen them do these things, ke? And you don't. I mean, I never bargain with bhaiyas who sell on the roads. Okay? They're making money. They're standing in the heat all the day long.
That's
you
terrible
don't bargain
to do
in a
that.
supermarket, Nita.
You go make your nails for like 3,000 and then you're saying 20 rupees.
Exactly.
You bargaining
no,
with
my
them
mom
for 20
won't even
rupees.
make her nails for 3,000.
No, I mean for other people, other group of people.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And you will never bargain in a supermarket, but you'll bargain with that bhaiya who's going to send their child to school. What rubbish.
Yes, very
that
rubbish.
I don't. That I don't like at all.
Yes.
So for me, त्यो त छुट्टै कुरा छ हैन, but like we decided on small luxury. So small luxury for me could be, oh, my towel is slightly frayed. It costs $800. I'll buy a new one. 5 years ago, no, forget 5 years ago, even 6 months ago, $3,000 a month wouldn't have pinched me. I promise you, Sujina, I wasn't doing these small things for myself. Okay? But it is about doing, self-care is not about getting your nails done. Self-care is about having the mindset to prioritize yourself. Yes. It could look like nails on one day. It could look like going to a lawyer on one day. Right? But to know every day that you have to prioritize yourself, that is the real self-care. Okay?
So to bring in that space where you can actually dig it and reflect back on what is that actually makes you feel good.
Ekdame. I'd made a video. Nobody actually watched that video.
Is it on your YouTube?
It is.
After today they will.
Watch. हाम्रो दर्शक महानुभावहरू त्यो भिडियो हेर्नु होला हैन, त्यो 30 सेकेन्डको थियो, सानो क्लिप जस्तो थियो, रिल थियो के रिलै थियो, युट्युबमा छैन होला, युट्युबमा छैन, इन्स्टाग्राममा छ, आई रिमेम्बर इन्स्टामा छ हैन, आई डोन्ट इभन रिमेम्बर वाट इट्स कल्ड, तर एउटा सानो रिल जस्तो थियो. Self-care is not about your nails, your hair, your makeup, your clothes, your bag. Self-care is about having those difficult conversations.
Yes.
Knowing when to say no.
Yes.
Going to a gynecologist.
Going to a therapist.
Going to a lawyer. Going to the police station if you have to. Learning how to drive. Learning how to face a job interview.
Paying for a gym subscription or yoga class rather than buying one more new sari for you. Right?
Self-care is really that.
Yes.
And people need to start understanding this.
Yes.
Completely, totally. त्यो भिडियो कसैले पनि हेरेन तर आज बोलिदिए त
कोही
त सुन्छ होला.
This is going to go viral.
Okay. Viral to stop भयो नि. I had 6 videos in 2020. 2020, 2021 that had more than like 1 million views. Now nobody's watching my stuff.
Okay.
But the people that do are writing to me.
I think that matters the most.
Exactly.
I always feel like that. Even if it's 10 people, that's enough. If you can touch them really deep, and if there's something that they can look into you and transform themselves, that's even better, right? I mean, I always believe that. Like I have a lot of followers on TikTok, especially because Denmark my TikToks and 1 million views and this, that. The boy down TikTok, that's not something, it's not monetized or anything. I don't do things like that for money. And this time in Nepal, a lot of people wrote me, okay, you come to Nepal and then we're going to see you and this and that. And then I made an open space where they could actually come and see me.
Oh,
okay?
Nice.
It was just a few days ago. I said, okay, 5 p.m. I'm going to be here. Whoever wants to come see me. So comments would be like 8,000 comments on 1 million view, right? I was there at 5 p.m. and then one person came at 5:20, okay, and she was like, I thought I was late. And I was so embarrassed. I'm like, no, you're not late, right? And then there was another person coming at 5:30, and two of those were my students, and they loved me really, deeply. They were so happy to see me. And there came a third person who was not my student, holding a 3-month-old baby girl in her arms. She just walked by. She was very young. She was like, I think 23, very shy, very nervous. And she was just like, when I saw your post, I knew that I had to come to thank you because, I do all these pregnancy yoga classes and a lot of women write to me how I have helped them do this positive birth and delivery and everything like that. And she was like, I was so close and doctors were pushing me to have a C-section, but I knew from your videos, I practiced your meditation and I knew that I could do it. And I did it, and I really, really want to thank you for that. Yeah. And that was enough. Like, I don't...
Exactly. It's always enough.
That's why I do what I do. I'm just like, I won the world now. I do not need anything else.
Yeah.
So, that was a really beautiful experience for me.
एकदमै यस्तो मसँग पहिला धेरै हुन्थ्यो के when I used to make videos on Nepal, हैन? अब why I stopped those is another story. But I was doing a lot of work like tourism promotion, Nepal, video बनाउने यताउता, हैन? And I would go into places like... भक्तपुरमा, कीर्तिपुर, जनकपुरमा भएको छ मसँग, खप्तडमा भएको छ. तपाईँको भिडियो हेरेर So I made a video on Calcutta and then I went back to Dangadi. And somebody in Dhangari I met, who I had met in Calcutta previously. Ma'am, यति धेरै मान्छे आएको छ हाम्रो चिया पसलमा हामीले चेयर राख्न पाएँ के राम्रो चेयर राख्न पाएँ लाइक वी ह्याड सानो चेयर और समथिङ अब राम्रो चेयर राख्न पाएँ अनि त्यो भिडियो हेरेर मान्छेहरूले त्यो भिडियो हेरी आएको छ के and that is when you know it's real impact. Your words matter.
Yes.
And that's why I have to be even more conscious and weigh out everything I say. That is why everything that I say is without a filter, because I have to speak the truth. Because if I don't speak the truth, my responsibility is
you
that
are
I have
responsible
to
for all those person who are following you. Yes, you are.
Chair kinna paye, ma'am. Like,
isn't that the most fulfilling part of what we do?
Somebody sends me a message, ma'am, I got my dream job in this bank because I had watched your video on how to appear for interviews. Ani maile ye job paye, hai na? Like, these things are the best.
Yes.
You go into like small things. It's never a big thing.
Yes.
And you know, earlier they like 8,000 comments, right? Mero first video jun viral bhayo थियो 7 कारण नेपाल न आउने 85,000 comments. Crazy, psycho. 85,000 likes, sorry. 1,000 something comments, 85,000 likes. And then shared. कतिको के sharesहरु भयो हैन? And त्यो video को जुन impact थियो, that was another level. आज त्यस्तो इम्प्याक्ट छैन बिकज आज म त्यस्तो भिडियोजै बनाउँदिनँ म टुरिज्मको भिडियोज अब बनाउँदिनँ किन धेरै टाइम जान्छ इट्स अ डिफ्रेन्ट स्किल सेट मैले रियलाइज गरेँ दोज भिडियोज आर नट डुइङ वेल बिकज आई न्यू अबाउट टुरिज्म दोज भिडियोज आर डुइङ वेल बिकज आई न्यू अबाउट कम्युनिकेसन You understand?
Got it. Yes.
Now I finally figured it out. I'm like, hi Ram, why was I focusing on tourism?
Yes.
Those videos did well because of
it
communication,
yes,
right?
yes.
But now I realize that. So मैले tourism stop गरेँ. That's not my forte. I don't know पोखराबाट चितवन जान कति बेर लाग्छ कुन बसमा जाने मलाई थाहा छैन. मान्छेले मलाई त्यस्तो प्रश्न सोध्न थाल्नु भयो के? And I'm like, मलाई थाहा छैन. I'm not a tourism specialist or an expert.
Yes, I got it.
You know, there are many people who know much more than me and they're the right guys that you should speak to. तर आजको दिनमा पनि when I make a video and I talk about, let's say, confidence, which is one of my favorite topics in the world, or communication, which is obviously the one thing that I do and I'm known for, I get such responses and it's so beautiful when somebody writes to you that my daughter watched your video and she did a speech in school and her teacher said she did a great job.
So beautiful.
And you're like, okay. You know, it's working for a grade 6 kid or a 7 kid and it's working for older people. It feels different. And I can't always respond to every message. That doesn't happen. I'm not lazy, but I just have too many other things on my plate and I can't always respond. I try to read everything. And I'm so grateful to people who write.
Yes, same. I would like to also thank everyone. Like, you know, it keeps me going also, I think. It keeps us going in that way. Like, 10 महिनाको छोरीलाई छोडेर आउने यहाँ बस्ने र podcast गर्ने हिम्मत पनि मलाई त्यसैले दिएको छ के because so many women behind me are asking me questions that I do not have answer for, you know, but I want to be that bridge where they can listen to people like you and then find the answers.
Oh, that's a great point.
So,
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, अनि म पनि अब सजिलो छैन नि what we do, what you do, what I do. It takes so much effort. हेर्दाखेरि 10 मिनटको भिडियो 1 घण्टाको podcast 30 सेकेन्डको भिडियो the thought, the editing, the camera, the lights, the bhais, the everybody. There's so much that's happening.
Yes.
There's so much that goes into this, the coordination, the meeting, the timing. You messaged me a month and a half ago. I was almost here last month for the interview. That was
I was so shocked. I was going to brush my teeth and it was like notification.
I am reaching.
I'm reaching to your podcast. I'm like, I'm in Denmark. It's next month.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
But look at the amount of stuff that, you know, we put into this. And it is those messages that keep you going. And I hope the messages don't stop for your podcast, for you, for what you do, for what I do, because ultimately that's the fuel.
Yes.
And that's really what keeps us going.
I mean, I was always someone who was good at this, good at that, a little bit good. एकदमै धेरै मलाई God gifted केही छ जस्तो लाग्थेन के. And then I was always like, what is my purpose? You know, what am I supposed to do? एउटा त God gifted talent हुनुपर्छ. And then I was so persistent that I kept looking. You know,
and then you found something.
I stayed open, and now I feel so lucky that I wake up every day and I thank God for the work that I do. And I don't want to stop. I think that's the same thing.
Oh my God, yes. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful I get to do what I do. And you know, the best thing about what I do is not actually that I teach anybody or anything. I am becoming richer every day. Every day. Not because people pay me, because people allow me to hear their thoughts. as a communication coach, the kind of people I work with, the variety in terms of geography, in terms of age, in terms of profession, in terms of educational background, in terms of social background, is crazy, is psycho.
You get to hear everyone's perspective.
From cricketers to actors to Miss Nepals to businessmen to people who've come from here, reached there, to startup guys, to artificial intelligence, to podcast hosts, to a business analyst. I was working with somebody from San Francisco, somebody from Canada, a girl from Germany, to all kinds of people. And you hear their thoughts. You literally hear them telling you, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And you're like, nah, actually, you got this. You're way cooler than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah.
And that's the best
So that's
thing.
like kind of being a therapist in one part of their life.
For a very tiny part, but yes.
That's
to
very
all
cool.
sorts of people, like doctors, all kind of, I meet the coolest people. Okay? Half the time I meet these people and I'm like, how are you so smart? Like, how? And I'm always like, how do you know so much? How are you just so good? I have that all the time with my one-on-one clients. Okay? And these people are so willing to learn, so gracious, so open to new ideas. It's amazing.
I think being open is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Amazing. Yep.
Keep showing up, be open.
Ekdam.
The way will find you. That's
Oh, the way will find you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you have to give your best every single day.
Every day.
And you just wait and watch. And
yes.
things going to happen probably. Okay, we talked so much about how we can, I think my audience can now, hopefully, accumulate so many ways on how to take steps towards their healing. A lot of outer work, mindset work, perspective work. We talked about a lot of those things. I think now what I want to get into is about, of course, it is connected to the inner work, but a bit of different dimension of meditation, because I know that you mentioned that you've been to Vipasana, right? And a lot of people want to start meditating because they know that that's going to improve their mental health. But they feel like, no, I can't do this. I can't even be with my thoughts for 1 minute. I can't stay still for 2 minutes. You mentioned Japa meditation, which is working wonderfully with you. I think a lot of my students do like Om chanting 21 times, which makes them absolutely feel better in very few days itself. Vipasana ko experience se kasto thiyo, because I know that it's, to decide to go into it, it takes a lot of courage, because how many days did you do it?
10.
3 or 10? 10, even more. Like you have to really... last time, but I was pregnant, so I freaked out. Probably I shouldn't do it.
No. Pregnancy magarna, I don't think it's suggested.
I think it is suggested.
Ho?
Yeah, they write it there that pregnant manches to cleanse the energy, they have to do it. But I was just too, I was not courageous enough to do that.
Wow,
So I have like kept
that for later.
Yeah, kept that
third
for
baby
later.
ko pregnancy ko bela.
Third baby? If God plans that for me now.
Okay.
not from my
not
side.
Not from your side.
For now at least.
For now. Okay. No, so is this my mom has been in Vipasana for the last 12 years now. So that lady has gone more than 22 times. Okay?
Wow.
Every year she goes twice.
Wow.
And 10 दिनको प्रोग्राम त कति गर्नु भएको छ, सेवा धेरैचोटि गर्नु भएको छ, त्यहाँ लामो प्रोग्राम पनि हुन्छ, 30 डेजको पनि हुन्छ, सबै गर्नु भएको छ के. So we know that we'll lose her for a part of the year. She'll just be gone,
In her own zone.
In her zone. And Vipasana ke ho, it is a silent meditation, which means you don't make eye contact with anybody, you don't speak to anybody over a course of 10 days. Scientifically proven to work. Really, really good. Theoretically, I believe in it. I've seen it work socially. My cousin brother is a teacher in India, Vipasana teacher. My mom's gone so many times. My dad's been, my brother's been, like pretty much my entire family has been. Everybody had good experiences, different experiences, but good experience.
Mm-hmm.
My mom completely, truly, totally vouches for Vipasana, and I totally understand that. Having said that, she has been telling me to go for it for the last 8 to 10 years. Like, afi gai pachi, if you love something, you're like, garnu parsa. So my mom told me that you must go for it. She's been saying it, and I'm like, no, it's not happening. It's not me. It's not my thing. I went for it this year. I went in January, second half of January this year, coldest time of the year in Shivapuri, haina?
Okay.
It was, so I went because mom had told me, if you go to Vipasana I will take care of your child, number one. And number two, one time in the year, I will babysit for an entire month for you.
Oh, nice. That's a good
So it was a trade-off.
It
was a trade-off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she was almost trying to like do a barter with me. Timi Vipasana jao, I'll do this for you.
It's like you telling other people to invest money.
Oh yeah, no, that's for them. What am I getting? I am screaming
but isn't
and
it for
shouting.
you that she's sending you to Vipasana? If you see it that way.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
See, when it comes to you, don't really reflect back on that.
No, but see, she gets to spend 1 month with my child.
Yeah.
Which is not the easiest, but okay. No, but like mama, okay? So she's like, oh, you must. And she's screaming and shouting, go, go, go. I went. What I loved about the experience, okay, was that I could live without a phone for 10 days and not regret it for a second. Not a second, I promise you. I
Even
miss
the
phone.
thought of it is like so blissful.
मैले first day miss गरे अब phone. Like I'll tell you कसरी किन sunset भइरहेको थियो. Everyone was standing and watching it. No one speaks to one another, standing and watching. First बानी के हुन्छ फोटो लिनु पर्छ. Insta मा हाल्नु पर्छ. Insta fam लाई भन्न हैन sunset.
Yes, how many?
Sunset vibes, sunset scenes. त्यस्तै केही हाल्नु पर्छ. Bliss. हैन तर त्यो दिन गर्न पाएन. First day त्यो भयो. त्यसपछि एकचोटी पनि भएन. The food was phenomenal. The experience in terms of the hospitality, the place, the feel, amazing. Did I come back and practice it? No. Okay? And I'll explain why. It's a very strict meditation. Jasto लाग्छ मलाई, हैन? It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
If you can do it, great. For me, it was a bit too strict.
It's intense.
एकदमै. अनि मेरो अब it's my fault. म विपासनालाई fault गर्दिनँ. It's not anybody's fault. No teachers, no process, nothing. मेरो खुट्टामा एउटा पेन भयो के त्यहाँ बस्दा बस्दा because you have to sit in one spot for 10 hours.
Right?
10 hours, 12 hours a day.
Not a movement.
Not a movement.
Yeah.
But मेरो खुट्टामा यति धेरै intense pain भयो. It's still there.
Okay.
8 months in.
Yeah.
So
8 months in.
8 months
wow.
in. It's still there. I can still feel it right now as we speak. Now,
yeah.
when I remember it, it's there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just that pain that you've grown to love and it's become a part of you kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it's there. So for me, did I practice it wrong? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Because I think at one point they say, okay, your leg is going to pain, but then you be with the pain, you let it come.
Breathe through the pain, basically.
Breathe
right?
through the pain.
And it happened. But मेरो through भएन के pain stuck भयो जस्तो लागिरहेको.
You were stuck there.
Maybe it's my fault. Maybe my body is telling me something. Maybe the spiritual world is telling me something. I don't know. But I never actually got to practicing it, right?
Yes.
Now, when I analyze किन, process मा कुनै problem छैन. It's amazing. म भन्छु, मान्छु. तर पनि किन गरेन? 2 hours a day अहिले. Time पनि गाह्रो छ.
Yes.
तर time भएर पनि, suppose I do have 2 hours also, would I rather do Vipasana? Would I rather do Jap, which is going to take me 7 minutes and which is for me easier? I'd rather do this. Ke?
I think that's what works.
I realize is convenience and who I am more as a person. I'd rather sit and write. I'd rather go for a walk.
Yes.
That is also meditative for me.
It is. Yes.
Swim, meditative for me. Just sit and listen to some songs, 2 or 3 songs, my favorite songs. Meditative for me. Write, read, jap. Because it's very physical.
Yes.
You're doing something with your hands. You're doing it. And it gets done. Then you do another round. Then you do another round. That's easier for me.
Yes.
Maybe because of the person I am, these other things are easier. Therefore, I think I did not prioritize Vipasana.
I totally
but it's
understand.
amazing. Having said that, मलाई गाह्रो भएन फोन नचलाएर बस्ने कोहीसँग कुरा नगर्ने म जस्तो मान्छे चुप लाएर बस्ने इमेजिन एकचोटि पनि फिल भएन कुरा गरौँ जस्तो भएन हुन्थ्यो बीचमा लेख्नुपर्छ के लेख्नुपर्छ पेन चाहियो कहाँ पेन
nothing, right?
So you remember everything and you try to mind map, okay, I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to tell this one this, उसको त्यो बाँकी थियो उसलाई त्यो भन्नुपर्ने थियो उसको बर्थडे मिस भयो त्यस्तो थट्स आउँछ कति थट्स आउँछ त्यो विपासनामा फर्स्ट डे मेडिटेसन गर्दा गर्दा you remember your class 1 को teacher, your class 2 को teacher,
everything, the whole entire
life
story
is flashing in front of you. Whatever memories you have, whatever core memories you have, you will relive all of them.
I think that is the point of the meditation, that they do at one part.
At one part, yes. And then they make you sort of not have any thoughts.
Yes. But I think the problem with, like, not the problem, I'd say, what this generation is scared of about these intense practices is, like, even I, being a yoga instructor, Vipasana is something that is very, very, very intense for me, right? So your guided meditation or suru garera, breathing meditation, Japa meditation, mantra meditation, these are something that practically life ma hamle चाहिँ include गर्न सकिन्छ. Vipassana 2 hours, like अहिले चाहिँ हामी, like, we are like practicing part-time spiritual people भने जस्तो कि अस्ति आनीजीले भन्नुभएको थियो होइन, you should live the spiritual life. It's not that, you know, you do it for the part-time, but that's how it is right now. So 1 hour on my mat is my spiritual time. But not just that, I think people also misunderstand what being meditative is, like you said, right? What is yoga? It is being present with what you're doing, right? So whatever you're doing, you're dancing, swimming, making music, writing, whatever you're doing, if you're present in it, that's it.
Duita kura.
Yeah.
That I remember, that makes me feel extremely meditative. Driving.
Really?
Extremely. Oh my God. I never play music in my car. Never. Honestly, dui karan huna sakcha.
But driving where? Not here.
Yeah.
Here. In Basantapur to Thamel.
No, Basantapur. No.
Yesterday it took us like 40 minutes.
No, not this Bato. No.
Yeah.
See, today I was super punctual, right?
Yeah.
I didn't drive myself, that's why. Okay. No, not this Bato, but let's say driving to Bhaktapur. I stay in Naxal to Bhaktapur. Super meditative.
Nice.
Super.
You're present. No thoughts.
No thoughts.
Amazing.
Okay. Driving to Bodhanilkantha. No thoughts. Happiest. I love that. Driving is when I'm fully alive. No music. Dui karan for no music. Ek ta I don't like having music in the car. That's my thinking time. अर्को मलाई म्युजिक सिस्टम प्रोबेबली अन गर्न आउँदैन. आई ट्राइड वन्स और ट्वाइस. मेरो भएकै छैन, कनेक्टै हुँदैन फोन मेरो, होइन. सो इट्स अ मी थिङ, राइट? माई सन क्यान कनेक्ट. आई डोन्ट नो हाउ टु. आई जस्ट कान्ट फिगर. सो आई हेभ गिभन अप. सो म्युजिक एउटा हुँदैन. अर्को कुरा द्याट मेक्स मी फिल भेरी अलाइभ, भेरी प्रेजेन्ट इज मेकिङ अ स्पिच अन स्टेज. I'm sensitive to every thought. I'm sensitive to every movement of my body. I can literally tell you, at this word, I hitchcowed. At that word, I did this weight shift. At this point, I went here, and at that point, I was making eye contact with that person. I'm that alive when I'm on stage. Okay?
Yes.
And that for me is meditative, no?
And that's the best thing ever.
I
mean, people say that if you want to learn something, teach it, right? I think that's how it started with me also. When I'm doing my classes, I'm just there. Time is just flying by, you know, and it's just the best feeling.
And you're learning as well in the process?
Yes, of course. Like,
every day.
If I'm not disciplined with my own practice of yoga and meditation, I have to teach them. That means I'm practicing it, being disciplined on my part. So that's the trick that I have used to be disciplined with my practice.
You know, you just reminded me of something very cool. If you want to learn something, teach it. There are two things I'm really looking at learning now, no? Financial literacy even more.
I'm really looking forward for you doing that.
Accountant
no, not about that. Like, just, I think people should, first thing is know that you have to start investing.
You know how much money I started investing with 12 years ago? 300 Indian rupees. I bought one share of ITC, 328 Indian rupees.
Okay. That's how you can start.
That's all I had.
Right.
That's all I had at that point.
I think they just need to know your experience, and then they are going to find it out on their own also. Like,
exactly.
Important छ भनेर थाहा हुनु पर्यो. Knowledge is out there, but they need to know that it's important.
फाइदा के छ अनि कसरी knowledge बढाउने के? How do you do it? Like, there are formulae. Obviously, there's a formula to everything in this because it's very mathematical, right? Like, what is 100 minus age formula? What do you do with it? How do you diversify your funds? What do you do with debt, with equity, with digital? There's so much of stuff out there. And actually, yeah, maybe I should just start talking about it with my friends and teach them, so at least I can learn in the process and keep growing. Yeah, that's one thing I want to learn.
And the second thing was?
I'm not going to tell you because I'm actually helping a friend, teaching him this.
Okay.
I'll actually send him this clip, okay? So there's this friend of mine. He's struggling with something. And he was struggling with a girl, basically.
So what are you teaching him?
Like how to be a better boyfriend or not boyfriend. I don't know, whatever.
So relationship coach is your next?
No. I'm never going to do it professionally.
Okay.
At all. But it's just so much fun to sort of talk to him about it and to help him through it. And he's also amazing. So I keep learning from him.
Of course. You always learn from people you're teaching. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. You learn from everything if you're open to it.
Everyone. Yes.
Now, the last thing that I wanted to discuss with you, and this was not something that I planned for or that I thought about in Denmark. It happened yesterday that I was researching about you, right? And I found out that you were born and brought up in Calcutta. right? Now you know where I'm
man.
getting at, right?
Oh, we don't want.
So, and I think it is important for us to discuss it, not in that point of what happened, but the, oh my God, how do I even put this?
You know, I'm like, my blood is burning right now.
If you don't want it, I don't think
I'm getting goosebumps because I'm so upset. And
Yes.
you know why I'm so upset? You know, I've always been very proud of Calcutta. It's such a horribly stupid thing to say. I've always been so proud of my city. I've always been so proud. Oh, we are the cultural capital of India. Oh, my city is the city of intellectuals and Tagore and this and Satyajit Ray. And I've always been so vocal about the fact that yes, it may not be the most developed city in the country, but it is a city of good people, intelligence and education and culture and mental prosperity. And when you hear an incident like this, you lose so
You question everything.
everything. And you question what kind of a world are we, what are we doing for our kids? Like, where did we all go so wrong? And you know, why does a little girl have to go through this? I haven't spoken about this. I haven't made a story on my social media. I just shared something. I didn't even want to talk about it because it's so painful. It's so unfair. I've been trying not to read about it. I get triggered easily.
Mm.
And oh my God, it's just pathetic.
We failed as a society.
Yeah, we failed our daughters, we failed us, each one of us, and we're talking about it. And, you know, I don't know, it just probably, I've always had this false sense of pride that Calcutta is the good city. We're good people, we're educated. We take pride in the fact that we've come from the city of artists and singers and
The
dancers
goddesses.
and goddesses and Kali and Durga and you know, women who speak and women who write and women who read and women who sing and women who dance. And then you hear this coming from my city. It was so earth-shattering because we failed our girls. And yesterday I saw this LinkedIn post about, so there's this page, I didn't know it existed. A friend of mine had just liked it, so it flashed on my home feed. And, you know, this post was about make Calcutta relevant again. Like the name of the page is Make Calcutta
Okay.
Relevant Again.
Mm-hmm.
Why does this page exist? Is because in the 1960s and 70s, Calcutta was also doing very well commercially and development-wise until Bombay took over, and it became like the commercial capital of India in a way. And other cities became cooler, and all due credit to everybody. Calcutta somehow lost the race. There are many reasons. I understand them. I've studied them. I've read them. I just don't want to talk about them on camera. But there are 3 or 4 factors because of which we could not retain our position as a very solid stronghold for economic development in the country, and I understand that happened. So this page was made by people to talk about how we can make Calcutta relevant again, make it a relevant city, make it a city where the children want to come back. My brother left Calcutta. All my brothers have left Calcutta. The only sibling of ours that is in Calcutta is just my sister because she's married to a guy from Calcutta. But out of the 7, 8 of us, there's just one person in Cal. Everybody left the city. The city in a lot of ways is going to be, in 10 years, the city of old people because nobody wants to work in Calcutta. People want to leave. So we used to talk a lot about how, you know, we must make Calcutta relevant. This page was, let's make it relevant in terms of money, economy. We need to make Calcutta relevant again in terms of culture.
Yeah.
In terms of intelligentsia. We are known as a city of people that are smart and educated, cultured. Where is that? See what they did. And, you know, there's so many, like, I don't know, so there was this thing that the guy was caught. No, that's not true. He was just a scapegoat, and there's possibly more people. And
A lot of political...
and if that's happening, like,
power involved.
You know, I never talk about these things because I don't want to, and it's just so, you know, we have no power, yeah, when things like this happen, and how do we prevent it? Like, our little sisters. I mean, this girl was a doctor. She was going to do good for society. She was going to, and even if she wasn't, even if she was something else, we failed. Yeah, it's just, and it's a conversation that I don't know. It's honestly for me, it's super painful that it's in Cal, because it just shook my foundation.
Yes.
It shook my foundation of what I think education is. It shook my foundation of what I think culture is. It shook my foundation of what I think good people are. It shook so much of my self-belief and my faith in that, Calcutta, we're a safe city. And
yes.
now there's these protests. के गर्ने protest गरेर यार त्यो गइसक्यो केटी. And
she's gone.
And there's a big racket behind this. Now they're saying, today I read this, and I don't know how true it is, so don't quote me in terms of journalism, but I read this, that this same hospital where this happened, there have been 4 mysterious deaths in this hospital in the last 22 years.
Okay.
Females have committed suicide 3 or 4 times.
And this was also supposed to be like called a suicide in the first.
सुरुमा त भन्या थियो, सुरुमा भन्या थियो. कहाँ suicide यार, meaningless. There's this.
I mean, oh my God, the reports.
Yeah. So I'm not reading any of the stuff anymore. I am not participating in this conversation anymore on social media. I am not talking about this to my mother and to my sister anymore, because I'm selfish. At this point, I feel so helpless that I now need to protect my mental state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I get it. I get it.
यस्तो भएपछि कति गराउने, कस्तो मान्छे होला यार.
And it affects every girl who watches the news. हुन्छ नि हिजो राति मात्रै पठाओ I use हैन नेपालमा हुँदाखेरि, and there was a guy came on a bike and पठाओ चाहेको हो भन्नुभयो, and I was just like, it hit me. And I think we fail as a society until त्यो डर केटी मान्छेको मनमा छ कि म बाहिर जान्छु अनि केही हुन्छ. जबसम्म त्यो डर छ, I don't think there is. We need to change.
Change, and change. They used to tell us, okay, so growing up in Cal, we were in a sheltered kind of a bubbled up home. I never remember coming back home at 10 in the night. I don't. Mm-hmm. It's never happened. Mm-hmm. 6, okay, that too gadi huncha, that too, driver dai gaera liएर आउँछ खालको, अथवा somebody friend will drop me or something, हैन, साथीहरुसँग. एक्लै त थिएन त्यस्तो. हाम्रो my grandfather was very like, he had 5 granddaughters के protect गर्ने सबैलाई, like the boys can do whatever. त्यो थियो फरक. But there was a reason he had to do that for his daughters, granddaughters. We were all like, nahi ghar aao, time pe aao, ye karo, wo karo. That was there. And we saw that. तर घरको मान्छेले पनि त गर्छ नि. मैले सुनेको छु. अनि 2 weeks ago, I was invited for a dinner in Kathmandu with 7 women I don't know, I've never met. And we were discussing this same thing, pedophilia specifically, which is perpetrated by family members. Because one of them had an incident to share about her close relatives, her daughters. And I think by the end of it, we came up with, अब के गर्ने त, यो कुरा exist त भइरहेछ. And I came back home and I just cried. I didn't cry that time. But I came back home and I'm like, what are we doing? Helpless. What are we doing? Yes. Little girls, 13, 8, 9.
Not safe.
Hamro Sarma, Kathmandu, again a city I take so much pride in. I take so much pride in this city. Ke? I'm always like, best people. Ask anybody, the first thing I say about Nepal, good, great weather, best people. And then is the food, then is the mountains, then is the adventure, then is the wildlife, then is everything else. Best weather, best people. Okay? Hamro Sarma, Feri Bhairat. So for me, it is like both my foundations, okay? Kolkata and Kathmandu, within a month. And I'm shaken. And they happened like back to back के for me. अनि यति ट्रिगर गरिरहेछ यो कुराले मलाई.
कति कुराहरु त रिपोर्टेड पनि हुँदैन.
हुँदैन.
And one thing that also hurts me the most is कसै कुनै केटीलाई रेप भयो हैन. त्यसपछि I've seen उनीहरुको इन्टरभ्यु come out हैन युट्युबमा डेनमार्कमा बस्दाखेरि with hidden faces, blurred faces. Okay? They think that their life is destroyed. Their respect was in their vagina, and now it's gone. We again fail as a society. Like, what are we doing? Like, at least for people who have been through it and who have lived, let's let them live. At least. That's the least we can do.
Ani थाहा छ एउटा अर्को इन्ट्रेस्टिङ थट जुन मैले हिजो नै पढेको थिएँ. माई गॉड, I'm trying to keep away, but I'm reading also. Okay, you know what I mean? Like the whole don't want to talk, but I'm just reading it. And हिजो मैले पढेको थिएँ, a rape case is not taken seriously until the victim is murdered.
Yeah.
हो कि हैन? Why did this one become such a big thing? Because she was murdered. Why was Nirbhaya such a big case? Because she was murdered.
And Nirmala Panta was settled in Nepal. She didn't even get the justice at the end.
So now she needs to die as well for it to do something. Nirbhaya ko pani ke bhayo? Kura bhayo. Ye pani ke huncha? Kura huncha. But it's so pathetic. It's
सबैभन्दा धेरै कल्चर लाज भएको देश हो नि त, हैन? सबैभन्दा धेरै
हामी सबैभन्दा ट्रेडिसनल सिटी हो नि त. हामी क्यालकटा त सबभन्दा कल्चर्ड सिटी. म त कति प्राइड लिने मान्छे, म त चेयरमा उभिएर बोल्ने मान्छे. आइ एम सो प्राउड आइम फ्रम क्यालकटा. वी मे नट बी द रिचेस्ट सिटी, बट सी आवर कल्चर, सी आवर फुड, सी आवर म्युजिक, सी आवर डान्स. के भयो यार यो कल्चर? यति मलाई म कुरा नगर्ने. मलाई एकदम, म त 2-3 डेजदेखि
यो सोच्दाखेरि लाइक हुन्छ नि बाहिर, बिकज आई बिन लिभिङ इन डेनमार्क फर सो लङ, एटलिस्ट मेबी लाइक यहाँको कम्पेरिजनमा भनिन्छ होला, हुन्छ नि दे आर लिभिङ द लाइफ, जे मन लाग्यो त्यही गर्छन्, हुन्छ नि एकदमै राम्रो मानिँदैन होला उताको लाइफ, होइन? तर एटलिस्ट बडीको कुरामा दे आर सो ओपन अबाउट इट के. सानैदेखि बच्चादेखि नै, even when you go to swimming, you take your son with you. So he's so used to seeing a naked body that it doesn't excite him anymore. Right? Because it's normalized.
It's normalized.
And here it's not normalized in the name of culture. And this is the drawback that we are facing.
Exactly. When people, these things also happen in countries where burqas, like, women are totally covered up, right?
Yes.
So I believe that I read this, I don't know why I only read these things. Because it really triggers me. And that's why I don't want to talk about it. I never talk about these things because I know how it's going to affect me. Selfish ho, मेरो self-preservation ho, म भनि नै राख्छु, हैन? In some culture, I don't remember कुन country मा एउटा study के गरेको थियो, women को full body केही देख्दैन. Men get attracted to the wrist also, right? And then they like,
the more you hide it, the more
they get excited.
And it's not even about the sexual thing of it. I think it is also the power thing of it, तँलाई तेरो ठाउँ देखाउँछु म, ठाउँ देखाउँछु.
मेरो एउटा साथी छ, साथी त के भनौँ, शी इज माई स्टुडेन्ट. She lives in Canada. She wrote about this case on her Insta or something a couple of days ago, and a man sent her an abusive mail, and she screenshot it and she put it on her story. And again I'm like, this is what they're thinking in response to something like this.
Yes.
And she put that on her story, and I just told her, like I told my student, if you need to talk, I'm there. Not from an expert standpoint, from an elder sister standpoint, I'm there if you need to talk. Just know you are seen, you are heard, you didn't do anything wrong. That man has threatened her. That man has told her you should never be wifed. He said all sorts of things to her. Just because I think I'm not sure exactly what she did, but I think she shared something about this case. अब त्यस्तो पनि हुँदो रहेछ. यति normalized छ यो कुरा, यो power dynamic जुन छ, it's
I mean, it's something we are fighting every single day, starting from our own home. Change हुँदैछ बिस्तारै, तर it's not good enough because there's so many suffering.
We need to teach our sons. I have a son. I have a responsibility.
Yes.
I have a responsibility. My sister's got 2 daughters. She has a different kind of a responsibility, but the responsibility is more mine,
I think so,
than hers.
For everyone who has a son has a bigger responsibility in this world.
Responsibility. मेरो त lockdown भरि हैन, the one thing I take a lot of pride on is lockdown भरि there was no didi to help us with cooking and cleaning, हैन? हुन्छ generally, नत्र त्यतिखेर कोही पनि थिएन. So I remember I used to do the cooking and my then husband used to do the dishes. Okay. So one day my son walks in and he sees me doing the dishes and he's like, that's Papa's job. Why are you doing
That's
it?
so-
And I'm like, yes,
That's
that
amazing.
is true. That is Papa's job. Mama should not be doing it at all. He's like, yeah, just get him to do it. I'm like, yes.
I like that.
And then of course he was mopping the floor, I remember. So I said, no, I will do it. But you know what I mean? Like, my son does not look at it as a gender-based job.
Exactly.
It's a
And
responsibility-based
that's what we
job.
need to teach them.
For him, it was not about gender. It was about responsibility. Papa le yo roj garcha, so it's
Yes.
Papa's job.
Yes.
Mommy le yo roj garcha, that's her job. So
Yes.
that's how he understood. He was 5 or 6.
Yes.
So he understood that. And I think now my responsibility as a mum of a 10-year-old boy is to be honest and to start having conversations and to really not allow any level of mistake in something like this. No,
Yes.
no. Consent, all of these things.
Mhm.
It starts with us.
Yes, it does. Whew. That
This
was
is it.
difficult.
No,
That was difficult.
yeah.
Okay, I think I have final 5 questions that I ask normally everybody.
Okay.
So I think just to make it a little bit calmer.
Ask me
get
fun
off.
questions, please.
Yes, I will. It's
No.
it's fun questions.
Okay, then
I
it's
think
fine.
probably you've answered this already, but yes, let's just do it again.
Okay.
I start with the first one. What is the one thing that you absolutely hate about yourself and want to improve? Your sleep and your... That's something you mentioned. Tell me something else.
I have a bad relationship with food as well.
Okay.
I binge.
Mhm.
I would love to change that.
Mhm. Okay. Fair enough. I think that's the problem of 80% of humanity right now.
थाहा छैन मेरो त हो for sure.
Okay.
एकदमै. I
Okay.
want to change this.
All right. So what is one thing that you absolutely love about yourself?
I can say difficult things, look into somebody's eyes and say my truth and say difficult things without any qualms about it. I just say that. And I love this about me because I feel no shame because sabki life mein shit hai.
It's not
Easiest
just
way of
you.
putting it is not just me.
you.
I've had enough mature conversations with enough people. Everybody is going through something. Just the power that I can sit here, look you in the face and say, this is what I'm going through, or be honest and speak my truth with somebody. I think that is something I love about me.
Awesome. I hope I reach there somewhere. I'm trying every single day.
I can. I'm good at this now.
Awesome. One thing, one rule that you follow that you think everyone else should follow.
I work harder than everybody else in the room. I'm always the most over-prepared person in the world. I go into a meeting and I'm always the most over-prepared person. I will never do anything half-heartedly. Never. Anything. Ever. I have coached how many people on public speaking. Every single day I put in equal amount of effort. You ask anybody.
Awesome.
I coach somebody today.
Persistence.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Like I'm always consistently the hardest working person in the room. I love that.
Awesome. Who is one person that inspires you the most?
Joya.
Joy?
Joya.
That's the name? Oh,
Joya.
that's the name. Okay.
That's the name.
Yes.
That's her name. She's
Yes.
55, 56 years of age. She ran away from her village in West Bengal at the age of 14. She came to Calcutta, to Sialda station, which is the smaller train station. Somebody found her, got her to my neighbor's house. She worked as a house helper in my neighbor's house. Then my mother was expecting my younger sister. It was December, it was cold.
Okay.
My mother was almost, I think she had given birth or something. So the neighbors said, maybe you need an extra helper in your house. We've got a young girl from the village. She's run away. She has nowhere to go. Would you like to employ her? My grandmother always like welcomes. Like, Jatti Maansi Agrawal, I'm going to au. There was a time when there were like 6 people in the house and 4 people working because she's like, no, they need work. Like, come to our house, work. We'll find you something, iron clothes or something, she'll create work. So she got Joya. Joya's been in my house for the last 30, I don't know how old is my sister, she's 36 years. She's been in my house. And in 2009, Joya took my sister and me, because she's extremely close to both of us. She took the 2 of us to her village in Bankura, which is 3 hours away from Calcutta. We went by train. And in her village, so we thought it's a village and, she's working in our house. Go to the village And we realize that a car comes to pick us up from the train station to her house. She has a 2 tala ko pakka ghar.
Okay.
Okay. Antenna, TV dish antenna, computer,
Okay.
movie ko disc haru. Mero mamu ko purano sari, which mamu had given her ko curtains. Hamro purano dining table ko set mamu had given her. The whole dining table, te pure thyo tya.
Oh my
The
God.
way she had preserved every little thing from our home, which
So
mom had
sweet.
just given her, she kept it. She took it to the village, kept it well. And that's not all. The next day, my sister said, I want to have a bath in a pond. Because my sister was fascinated. Pond manwanu parsa, like a young 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, yeah.
So Joya took us to a pond. I did not step into the pond. I was just like, no, it's dirty. My sister like, no, I'm not the pond manwayo. And we were coming back, and then there was a point we stopped at. So we just stopped, all three of us, and Joya tells us in Bengali, ekhan theke jotota jayga dekhte parcho amar, which means as you stand here, all the land that you can see belongs to me. And we're like, what? We can see acres, we can see crazy amounts of land. And we're like, what? She's like, yeah, every month I would make money. I would make 6,000, 5,000, whatever her salary was starting out of. Maybe less. But I had nowhere to spend. So I would send it back to my village. And every time we just buy some land.
Wow.
And today she's like this big jamindar. Paisa ne paisa. She's employing people. Dhan gropcha, yo garcha, tyo garcha, tyo eggs betcha. They do so many things.
That's present day her.
But
Okay.
she still works in our house.
Okay.
She does not want to go back to the village because now the village life is too slow for her.
Okay.
She's like, no, I can't. I'm a Calcutta girl now.
Okay.
So she's still, because she loves my grandmother as well. And they're
Yes.
like company for each other. So she has the most impactful, inspiring life. Because from a girl who was absolutely illiterate to somebody who now reads English, has bought land, got 4 of her nephews and nieces married, and is some big jamindar, covert jamindar. Nobody knows she's this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's unassuming. No, she's working and doing dishes in our house as well. She's cooking for my grandmom. She's sitting and she's probably putting tail on her or legs or something. And she's this big jamindar, 0% attitude, fabulous entrepreneurship. That is what a startup really is like for me.
Awesome.
Super inspired. Alchemy.
Yes, absolutely. I am inspired
Yes.
by her story. I hope that you tell her that.
I will.
Yes, I hope she watches this. Okay, 2 more questions.
Yes.
One thing that you wish that you had right now.
Oh my God.
Could be anything.
A 2 BHK in Paris.
Okay, right in front of Eiffel Tower?
No.
Because you said Paris.
Yes, not Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
Latin Quarters.
Okay.
So I'm slightly picky about the area. I like Latin Quarters a bit more. 2 BHK in Latin Quarters. Or, okay.
Or. There is an or.
I have ideas. I thought this through. No. Or, Paris has these roof apartments, like mathi roof wala jun huncha ni, mathi gaera and khulcha, and they've got flowers in that little balcony. One of those in Montmartre. So I've got the areas finalized.
Okay.
Kita Latin Quarter, Kita Montmartre. These are the 2 areas in Paris that I would like to have an apartment in. Malai Eiffel Tower, obviously I love it, but no, I don't want to live in that side.
So you like the culture of
Yes.
France? Yes, I do. I have many different stories about Paris. My best friend lives there, so I've been there a couple of times, but that's something we dig in another time,
Yes.
probably. Okay, one last question. Probably the answer is going to be long, but you have to answer in one word. I'm challenging you. What is one thing that you are...
Pause.
Yes?
If you challenge me, I always win. Just remember that, okay? I love a good challenge.
I am ready to lose with you.
Okay.
That would
I
be my
always love
honor.
a good challenge. That's the secret. If somebody wants me to do something I don't want to do, just say, I challenge you. So my son is like, Mom, I challenge you to play Minecraft. And I'm like, got it. On it, bro.
On it now.
I'm going to win now. Okay, yeah, go on.
Awesome. What is one thing that you are most grateful for right now?
Health.
Awesome.
Super grateful.
Starts there.
Yep.
That's it. I think we've talked about so many significant things, and you've been so kind and generous enough to give such beautiful responses, which I think, not just think, I'm sure that it's going to help so many women out there who are looking for answers in those areas. Thank you so much again for your time. It was really awesome having you here. And I hope that this is not the end, but the start of our meeting.
Absolutely. I had a fabulous time, and I think I got to talk about things I don't normally talk about. And I'm
that's
so
what I wanted
grateful.
to do with you.
So grateful for that.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us at graceyoga.life. See you very, very soon again. Sending lots and lots of love.